Once I hit start all, we go live on YouTube. There it is. Look at that. I'm famous. I'm finally famous. Everybody will know who I am. I'll be the next Mr. Beast. Oh, I don't even want to be the first Mr. Beast. There we go. Okay, we're live on YouTube, and that'll bring another 4 viewers into the fray. Hi, YouTube. You're not allowed to talk to YouTube. Don't you know, John Twitch was like, they're not allowed to fraternize with one another. You have to have them in separate windows, and they have to be completely separate. We must segregate our viewers and chatters. We cannot have them together. No, 9. Oh shit! Stop talking to them. You'll validate them. YouTube exists only for archival purposes. You buffoon, you absolute fool. How could you do this to my stream? Yeah, anyway, so yeah, we've got a lot of work ahead of us on this one singular project. Remember when I used to work on other projects? I don't. This is all-encompassing. This project is so all-encompassing that it is swallowed up other types of projects like reverse engineering and microcontrollers and communications protocols and just everything. Never mind, F those guys. I don't think there are rules against fraternizing. I don't think so. But if Twitch wants to come down from on high, out of Mount Olympus, and swoop by my channel to delete it, they could do that. But I don't think does the man consider the feelings of the ant that it is crushing? No. I think we're so far under the radar that even if I do violate minor toss weirdness, I don't think they're gonna do anything to me. I'm too small. Kind of new here. What's the project? It won't take too much of your time. I mean, whatever, man. We're just hanging out. This is just a Friday hangout. This is the channel's Oh Bother. That's me. I am under the moniker Oh Bother. I was kind of forced under it. I was going to try to rebrand and do something other than Oh Bother, because I mean it fits at this point. Just sort of one, you know, I'm kind of like a big fat Winnie the Pooh kind of person. I'm gonna be losing the weight in the next couple years. Anyway, I'm a big fat guy. I don't really care. We're very sardonic. You know, all things that fit. Oh, bother. Also, I was sort of stuck because previously recorded live, which is Rich and Jack from Red Letter Media back when they were streaming, I was helping them out with a project. I was making a controller for them. They wanted like a left-hand controller where they could use a mouse and then play a game. Those exist now, by the way. You don't have to make your own, or you can do a very minimal amount of work to learn programming, something like a Teensy, to do that for you, and you can make it yourself, and you can 3D print it yourself now for much less. I mean, it's just, that's the kind of thing we do here. I could not imagine myself hiring somebody to do something that's as fun as making a left-handed controller, because that's the fun. But anyway, they hired me to do this along with another engineer, and we worked on this project, and at the very end, previously recorded live never endorsed any other streamers except me. Because I worked on this project and it was just kind of getting to a head when they stopped streaming. They were trying to farm around for a place to manufacture it, and I don't think they had enough stuff to like bring to somebody and request like, hey, would you want to manufacture this thing? Because it's like a much larger project than I think they make it out to be. But making yourself just a personal controller and maybe selling a couple as a kit, like as a kit, they could have sold it. They didn't have to manufacture it with a manufacturer, you know. But they didn't know how that stuff goes down. I probably could have recommended them, but I wasn't hired as somebody to recommend engineering stuff. I was hired as somebody to make a prototype, which I did. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so anyway, that's why Oh Bother stuck, because they actually endorsed me, and they're like 25,000 times more famous than I am. So, oh, did YouTube auto start? Well, that's rare. YouTube chat auto started. I didn't know that would happen. It's like the program's actually working properly. Weird. This is Social Stream Ninja is how I combine you guys illegally. Although, to be fair, I think the rules are that it has to be identified. So It feels like the maker streams on Twitch was popping way more back then. Yeah, they were, they've always been kind of in a state of half popped. Ew, ew, ew. The maker streams were really popping off during COVID because everybody was stuck indoors, right? And so you're like, well, I could sit here in this meeting, or I could pull up somebody who looks like they're actually doing some work, and maybe I'll feel like I'm accomplishing something. And I'm guilty of that. I do that too. That was really our heyday, and that would have been a good chance for me to like really kind of lean into all the making stuff that I do and try to grow my audience. My audience naturally grew just because of the state of things, right? But now everybody is all this return to office, all the RTOs and stuff like that have started to really pop off, and so we're missing a lot of viewers, and I think everybody knows that, you know? Everybody kind of knows that already. This is not going to fit in here. This is an audio board. Everybody kind of knows that. Julian sent me a text. I need to get back to him. I mean, I did get back to him, but I need to get him back in here. We need to do more stuff, but music stuff means that I have to move the steering wheel out. Move the steering wheel out and then move the table back in so he has a place to be. What up, Madam You? I still do that. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's actually kind of awesome to do. Totally a thing. I mean, especially if I'm like reverse engineering something, I had to have people on. Oh, bother co-working stream. I considered moving to that channel. I could put co-working on the thing, but then I start shouting like obscenities. So I don't think people like it when I get too expletive, especially not YouTube. The algorithm goes, oh, I was gonna give you some candy, but now I'm not. I'm taking that away from you because you said a word that we don't like. We need to get these breathing sensors running too. My favorite two streams from that era was you and another maker who used to stream with a lab coat. I remember that guy. I was thinking about him recently. I think they just went back to life in general because, you know, like, doing this for you guys is one thing. I would be doing this anyway in my free time that I don't have. But having a job that pays you real money instead of making less than somebody who's flipping burgers, like by a margin. My whole thing is that if I make too much money, I get off of the public health plan for Pennsylvania. And I need to do my paperwork for that, by the way. I just got the packet in the mail, so that I can afford the luxury of not dying to diabetes. It's quite a luxury. It's quite a thing, and I have to bend over backwards for it. But it's part of the sacrifices, you know? But yeah, that guy was kind of cool. I shudder to put on a lab coat, because I've never needed to wear a lab coat to do this stuff. I've never needed to wear a lab coat. Uo's Lab does the whole lab thing with the lab coat. This is, by the way, this is one of my insulin pumps. I think this one may have already gone off. Oh yeah, because the tube's out. Yeah, a little tube is out of it. He had like tons of contraptions. Yeah, he and like an auto. Was he the one with the wine pouring robot? It would pour him like a little sippy of wine for bits. He is a little sippy. I may EOL. You're end of lifing yourself? Wait a minute. I bought a wine kit and I have to wash 126 bottles. Oh my God. 100. I use the dishwasher for that when I have to do a ton of beer bottles for brewing. I will just throw them into the dishwasher and put it on a sanitary cycle. If they have labels, the labels will come off and get stuck in the pump. It is a very good way to delabel somehow. But doing the sanitary cycle on the washer is just like amazing, because then you can set it and forget it. You can just leave it. You know, I don't know how wine bottles will do. You probably have to use the bottom rack mostly. This is another Space Cowboys mix, and this one is 8-Ball, who does a lot of very poppy sounding stuff in the deep house spectrum. These are another project here. That's an audio repair. Here are some CAN bus. adapters that we're going to have to use. The STM32 should have enough chops to not need a whole CAN bus moderator to let the microcontroller do its thing, because we can just have a thread of the STM32 listening to the bus, the whole bus, nothing but the bus. The bus. Stuff that I haven't needed in a while goes in the garbage. Yeah, so I was saying a minute ago, I tried the new McDonald's Arch Burger and it is not special. It's not good. It is a large burger. It's larger than you would expect, but white cheddar does nothing for the flavor. The sauce is it's just burger sauce. It's really nothing crazy. There's no new, crazy, amazing flavor. It is a meat-flavored burger that has a little bit of gooiness to it because of the weird cheese that they put on it. But the white cheddar, there wasn't a ton of it on the one I got. It was like half the patty was cheese. And it has crumbly onions as well as regular onions. So it is a meat-flavored onion burger. And the texture of the crispy onions is all wrong. It's all wrong. It doesn't work. Wawa, the local food market here for, Pennsylvania, did a thing where they had their like crispy pickles. Crispy pickles. I remember that guy. It's kind of a jerk. But anyway, they did their crispy pickle thing where they have some fried, like breaded deep fried pickles on the sandwich. And I accidentally got it once. Okay. The onion, the pickle, has a crunch to it, right? It's supposed to have this crisp, textury crunch. And then you get that bloom of pickle or onion flavor, very strong flavors. When you deep fry it, it takes everything out of it. So what these food products end up having are this like texture minefield, where if you bite through these onions, you don't get a crisp crunch. You get a rubber kind of it's like rubbery. They're not good. They're not good. I don't know why they're so crazy about it. Maybe it's just the way that they can process old onions into something, old pickles that they don't sell. I mean, it's not a cheap burger either. There's a lot of burger there. You definitely get, shit, hold on. I got to find that. No. You're not allowed to leave the desk. That's one of these fancy potentiometers that's for like my audio system. This is like $12, I think. That can't leave. I need that to repair my stuff. Anyway, so yeah, no, all the cringy stuff and the TikToks and whatnot, especially from the McDonald's TikTok, like you got to think about it this way. He's pathfinding, right? They don't know what works in these things. So if you are the first person out there, right? You're the first person out there with the TikTok and the product and you're a little bit cringy, everybody is latching onto that and they're talking about you. I mean, it's not that there is bad press. You can get bad press, but this isn't it. Like, I tried the burger. I tried it because I was like, all right, yeah, cool. I'll try a new burger. Who cares? They're calling it the Arch something. Maybe it'll be like the Arch Deluxe. We'll never have those days back, those Arch Deluxe days. But anyway, it's not that special. It's a big burger, right? That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. More than $5 for a McDonald's seems like, yeah, it is. It is. Those days are gone. Maybe the number versus what the number represents, right? How hard is it to make $10 these days? I still don't think it adds up, but the number that, the dollar menu, remember the dollar menu? That was awesome. Those were some days. I'm going to get a burger, a burrito. I'm going to get one of those, that, and the other thing. Done. Lots of food. Not going to do that again because dollar's a different price point now, right? But anyway, so when you're recording something, how are you going to make something for the no attention span TikTokers, right? You're not going to take a giant bite of a burger and be chewing for 10 minutes. Also, the thing is covered in rubber and the bun's rubbery and everything's, yeah. So what do? You could cut and spit it into a bucket, because that's what they do on set. They always there's a bucket and you spit it into the bucket. You don't actually swallow it. Guy Fieri's guilty of that recently. Recently, because I think he's on one of those appetite moderating drugs. So I think he's spitting out a lot of food these days. They probably have somebody just off camera with a bucket. And he goes, and then smash cut. Wow, that was really good. But you're the CEO of McDonald's. You don't want to do that. You don't want people to blame you of not eating it because then they'll clip you next to clips of The Simpsons where Krusty is barfing up the Krusty Burger. They did it anyway, but so you take a little bite that you can chew and swallow. I had trouble getting my mouth around that burger. That burger was, I mean, obviously burgers should be going wider instead of taller. This thing wasn't particularly tall, but there's enough of it that it was difficult to get like a big meaty bite. Technically, I'd probably want to have my people bunch up all the ingredients all the way up on the edge of the thing so that you could say, oh, wow, this is really good. Crunch, take a big bite, chew and swallow. You can't do that. So you take a small bite and you go, this is like real human food. And then everybody clowns on you. So there wasn't much winning in that scenario, that's for sure. The big bite of the McD CEO in the TikTok was pretty funny. I mean, it wasn't a big bite, but I couldn't do that either. I tried. But now we have all of these CEOs coming out of the woodwork and going, oh, nom, nom, look at my food. I love it. I think it's so fucking funny. Oops, I shouldn't have cursed. Sorry. I think it's so funny because they're like, we gotta film this thing. Are we ready? I haven't eaten in 48 hours. Let's film this TikTok. All right, you got the disgusting food product in front of you? All right, move the window over here. Yeah, it's gonna be well, didn't they do the $5 menu? Wasn't that something that is like the $3 menu or something? They're pushing it. And now it's like mostly sawdust. You don't really get much burger in there anyway. Remember when it was below freezing? You could get a cheeseburger for the temperature outside. Yeah, 79-cent cheeseburger. Yeah, those were the days. No, I remember the dollar menu was a big deal. You could get something that almost passes as food for $1. But it's McDonald's. What do you expect? You know, it's a rubber burger. They basically changed the palette of the food to be mostly meaty. That's what I remember. There was a whole documentary on Taco Bell and what they did with going to Mexico. They're like, we're so authentic. We go to Mexico and we figure out what's popular, and then we take it here to our food labs and make it taste mostly like meat. Like, oh, this vegetable thing, we gotta let's just make it meat flavored. Why did I buy this? Why do I have this 2400 milliamp hour battery from 2017? I should not have so many batteries around. This must have been for Octajay's parents' tablets that I fixed up back then. 10-cent hamburger, 25-cent cheeseburgers in the summer. I mean, look, we all should stay away from that stuff anyway, right? Negative 22C here tonight. Ooh. Yeah. Bro, they put salt into the Coke to make you thirsty. I don't think they do that. There is sodium in the drinks, but I think that's just part of the flavor profile. I don't think they're doing that. I am inundated with microcontrollers and simulator stuff. I really need to figure something out here. I have blue pills coming in the mail. That's not incel speak. That's literally just the STM32 cheapo prototyping board. I don't know if the STM, are these obsolete now? They might be obsolete now, but I got two little dev boards coming in the mail so that I can hit them with a hello world. And as soon as I do, we can actually get this thing to speak CAN bus. I just have to figure out, I have to like streamline my protocol and figure out what my protocol is going to do. But here in the stream projects section, I actually have the full, so let's copy that image and get that into MS Paint. Let's get that into the folder with everything else. This computer is not healthy right now. It tends to crash, and if I leave it up, which, you know, maybe I shouldn't just leave it up. Which one is it? I don't think it's this one. No, it's not. Open. It's going to be in a folder that, yeah, MIDI pad. When I leave this computer up, I think the memory errors hit it at some point and it just freezes. But this thing is really logically laid out. I have all of it's literally using every single pin of the STM32, the LFQP64. It's a 16 pins per side and a 4-sided small pin thingy chip. It has these tap pads that are connected to 3 volts, and when you tap on them harder, more of the pad is shorted. So you start with no resistance, and then you have big resistance, and then you get less and less resistance as you push it down. And as there is less and less resistance to 3 volts, you go closer to 3 volts. You've got a 2K, 2.2K resistor pulling this thing down to ground. And then they put a capacitor in all these analog lines just to stabilize it. The capacitor is a timing device, so it takes time for it to get to voltage, and it takes time for it to get away from voltage. So it'll slow things down a little bit, make your analogs a little bit more stable. And then all of the inputs have something like a 1K and just some kind of a resistor on the way to the microcontroller. So as you push this tap pad down, you go from infinite resistance to higher resistance to lower resistance. So the voltage starts at 0 and it goes do 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 do. So you have analog pins that just read all of those tap pads, which is what a lot of these P pads are here. There's a lot of pads are being used up by the taps. These buttons over here, those are not tap. Those are not tappy. Those are just a 1 or a 0. So what you do with that is you matricize it. And so you have 8 buttons, and this uses 6 pins. So you're saving 2 pins by doing this. It's very annoying to deal with in software, and you have to have diodes on it in order to keep one button from looking like another one by accident. What's that? Have you tried sys internals with Process Explorer speeds? What? Sys internals with Process Explorer, and it speeds up the PC a lot. Interesting. Done right, the default installs from apps. If done right, default installs from apps bog the PC. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done anything like that. I haven't messed around with it. What works, works, and it's still a house of cards, and it's all falling down around me. It's very obnoxious. In order to get all of the other analogs in order to get these potentiometers and the fader, they just have a simple voltage divider on it and a capacitor. They always have a capacitor, and then they put it into an 8-port mux. So all 7 of these analogs go into an 8-port mux, and that way you have 1 analog pin, and then you have 3 control pins that are giving it 1s and 0s. I was a child. It was awesome to have my parents come back with a sack of food. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I haven't done it recently, and I don't know if I'll do it again. But what I used to do is just go to Taco Bell. There are no Taco Bells around us. Right? They're far away. Words in the head are not the same as on screen. Okay. Well, just take it easy. Communication is tough. Yeah, so every now and then I would just go out and just get a whole sack of Taco Bell. I used to live within walking distance of one, which was kind of dangerous, but it kept me from doing the big binge. And I haven't done that in a while. I don't know if I will do that anytime soon, is go out and just get a ton of Taco Bell. So the AB encoder is done exactly like an AB encoder. All of the LEDs are just simply run into the microcontroller. This thing is an I/O beast. This STM32, it's an input-output beast. It has a lot of pins on it, and they're using every single one. So I am gonna have to figure out how to use its 4 threads, its amazing amount of pins, and all that stuff in order to basically just recreate the MIDI button pad, but have it, instead of speaking USB, it'll speak CAN bus. Conveniently enough, the pins that are actually designed for it to speak CAN bus are the USB pins. So the ones that we're getting rid of are exactly the ones we're putting back in. So pretty cool. What's up, Ben Gizmo? The schematics look great. It was a lot of work. I put a lot of work into this. Everything is now identified precisely, and it's what I used to do. So like column 1 and row A is the stop button, this button right here. Column 1, row A, and if we go over here, we can see column 1 and row A. Why are these blocked out? Oh, that's not good. Well, I can still see that they're P on them. Where did it go? Row A, and then column 1 right there. So those are the 2 pins. Oh, you guys can't see. As big as behind. Row A, column 1 are just right up here. So I've gotten to know this board pretty well over the past couple days. pretty well. You can see on the micro, where is it? These are those pull-up resistors for the columns and rows. It's all laid out pretty logically. I mean, they made some concessions towards having things be like neat and orderly in the running of all this stuff. It was probably a pretty fun layout to do, but like all those pads have a resistor and capacitor. You can see here I actually numbered them because I was getting so confused about which one was which. Pretty cool. So we know everything this thing does, and I'm able to take it over completely, which means that I will have individual control of what all the LEDs are doing. I don't have to worry about what, like what MIDI do I need to send it in order to light up this button. No, I can just do that on the fly now. I can just send it a CAN bus message and it'll light up that button. Pretty cool. All right, so this is what I'm saying. Like the simulator setup has taken up just a whole variety of different projects. I'm learning a lot too. Also learning that the STM32 can be Arduinoized, so I don't have to be so scared of them. Because last time we used an STM32, it was for a mutable instrument, a modular synthesizer thing, and it had a weird way of programming. Luckily for us, what's her name? I forgot her name. The person who makes mutable instruments, she put good instructions on how to get this programming environment up. It was I don't think she might not have, it was somebody on a forum, I think, that sort of illuminated some of those things, but there were decent instructions in the mutable instruments documents. Those are so valuable. But I was able to actually get like the virtual environment in Windows running, and then get STM tools or whatever installed into the VM, and then upload with that. I think that's a very clever way to do things. Using virtual machines are super powerful. I don't know anything about it. I could run virtual machines. Hey, what's up, Gonad? I could run virtual machines off of my server, and then have those able to program stuff. And then whenever I want to work on a particular thing, I don't have to make my own computer desktop into a big bundle of wires. Because right now, this thing is a big bundle of like drivers that I don't think like each other. So I got a few channels from your last episode. Can you recommend other long form live YouTube channels like yourself? I don't know. Go live more. I do intend to do that. The STMundo library is available for Arduino. It supports STM32F103. I have a Emily Gillette. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Spider webs in my brain. Bugs in my skin. I got bugs in my skin. Yeah, so where is that? There is the tutorial that I just plan on following, is just this guy here for getting the blue pill to Hello World. Once I get the blue pill to Hello World, I think I can use a lot of libraries to put this thing together. I think I can use like, keypad libraries and such to put this thing together, and then I'll need something that loads code in. I'll need something that loads the digital signal in. I'll need something that outputs a signal. It's a lot. There's a lot that I have to figure out, and I have to make a generic CAN bus device that has all those functions. But I think there are CAN libraries for the Arduino that I might be able to utilize as well to make things just super simple. Do you have an ST-Link V2? Yes. I could program it with USB directly, but I plan on replacing the USB functionality with CAN bus. Can I program it with CAN bus? Yeah, but these are things a smarter person could do, not me. Also, I don't know if this sheet was taped down by the masking tape. I think it might have been. So I could probably get rid of the masking tape and put the sheet down and then mask over it. But wait, no, it's in two plates. It's actually, okay, so I think that's just there to give it a little bit more height. But yeah, the programming this thing, we have right here the JTAG quote-unquote port, which is the SWDIO stuff. So that's this. So we can program it using that. I can do serial prints using that as well. So that's something that I want to figure out with the blue pill. Once I get that done, then I can characterize this other stuff so I can figure out, what does the voltage look like when you press one of these guys. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a spacer that just props this up a little bit. It's a cool system. It's basically the same thing that PlayStation does with their analogs, is that they have a floating tap pad on top of a resistive, exposed resistive element. I don't know how resistive this is precisely, but what it does is it forms a resistor. So when you hit this lightly, it'll just contact a very small area. And so the voltage will have to go through more resistors. So you have a higher resistance. And as you press down further and further, it'll get lower and lower resistance because more contact is being made on that conductive element, conductive resistive element. And so what happens is your voltage divider goes from being an infinite amount of resistance to a high amount of resistance. And then as you press harder, it gets lower and lower so that more power comes through here. So it'll go from 0 volts all the way up to 3.3, depending on how hard you're mashing it. Pretty cool. Sorry, stream starts soon is when I'm chewing the fat with you guys. We're not going to be working on this today because this is too cerebral. And the test elements are coming in the mail today. So I'm going to be able to hook different STM32 up to the computer, get my hello world out of the way, and then I will be able to jump into actually programming this thing. I may cut a hole in the back of it. If I install these JTAG pins, I may cut a hole in the back so that I can put the programmer into the back of this, up this thing's patootie, so we can put it all back together and I don't lose all the screws. I really don't want to lose all the screws on this stupid thing. So this is what the Simpit project is becoming. It's a sort of a blanket over a whole bunch of different projects. My original idea is that everybody can speak the same CAN bus. CAN bus can run at 500 kilobits per second, so I don't think I will be running into any speed issues on it with the number of devices that I have. And you know, I really dug to the backs of the shop here to get all of the buttony things that I own together. My only issue, and I'm going to look again. Is it back there? No, it's not. There is a missing panel, and I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. I'm so mad. I had this wonderful headlight switch from an E46 BMW. It was an M3. It was an M3, if you could believe it. And it was from a buddy of mine who upgraded his to the European switch, which has an extra little fader on it. That is a lot of dust. Holy. You know, like I don't throw stuff out. I still have a BMW or a VW key. We should probably connect this to the Sim setup. We should probably use this key. I can just make a 3D print with just a little. You didn't find a switch? No. I have been looking everywhere for this switch. It's really gotten to a head. I'm very mad. I'm a disturbed individual. I have skeletons. I have skeletons in my closet, not BMW switches, unfortunately. I just wish I could find that, because this is like part and parcel of the whole thing. Was that switch would have been really fun to have. No, that's not it. Really fun to have with the simulator, because then I'd have the headlight switch and everything. It was just meant to be. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why I have a vague memory of throwing it out. I think I've conflated that memory, though. I think that's not really an original memory. I think I've manufactured that one somewhere in my brain. I thought I held on to it, and I thought it was back here in one of these little like cubby areas behind me. It was either back there or in this top lid of the tool chest, but it's not. I've looked several times. The other possibility is that it fell down there. But I don't think I see it down there. There's all kinds of weird stuff in this sort of interstitial space between the two pieces of furniture, including my America glasses. Oh, several circuit boards, a whole lot of dust. That is a lot. I think I need to pull this area apart to see if it's somewhere in this sort of between two objects space. Because maybe it was on this edge and it fell off. Yeah, those are the America sunglasses. They fell down. I haven't gotten them yet because some of the material in that corner is the kind of stuff that'll cut your hands. So I haven't really dug back there yet. This is like one of the few places that I haven't looked. I haven't looked in that corner of the shop. The corners of the shop kind of like absorb stuff because the lower trafficked areas, the stuff kind of gets there, and then it'll stick. All right, I don't know, I kind of want to get started soon. The whole push here today is to try to clean up things, right? Try to get a little bit more command of my own space back. And that involves putting all the BMW stocks onto something. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'll come up with a way. Why am I still finding... There's a pen on the floor. Why is this here? Why was there a pen on the desk and then a pen on the floor and bugs in my skin? I've got bugs in my skin. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. Let's get the music out of here. I'm gonna start up. YouTubers, you obviously don't hear music because YouTube is super gung-ho about automating everything, including copyright strikes on videos. So I dual stream to both YouTube and Twitch. Twitch is really where the crowd is, and it's easier to hold on to that crowd, and there are a lot of fun people there. YouTube is a great way to archive, because Twitch only holds on to a month or two or so of my stuff. Yeah, tumbleweed of components and hookup wire. That's essentially what happens in all these sort of interstitial spaces in the shop. We've been looking for this headlight switch that will go with all of my other car accessories really, really nicely. I had it. We reverse engineered it a long time ago. I was holding on to it for exactly this, and I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. It's been years that it's been here. It showed up with a friend of mine who said, hey, I'm upgrading my car. Can you do this specific mod? And here's the old circuit board and the old headlight switch. On the E46, the headlight switch is weird. You got the headlight switch, and then you've got this whole circuit board that sits behind it, which I have. And this whole circuit board that sits behind it does all of the headlight functions, because those cars are less universally integrated. And so you have something like a board with a ton of big switching elements on it that is controlling the behavior of your headlights. So basically, this cord right here would just plug into that thing that I'm looking for. Where's the rest of it? I don't know. I just don't know. I think I looked in here several times. My derelict circuit board bin that I keep under the desk. This is where we hunt for parts much of the time when there's an emergency and we need to absolutely find a certain thing. And I don't think the headlight switch is in here, just for the sake of building the memory in my brain that I have gone through this. I'm going to stack up all the old circuit boards in one area. This is from a DJ, CD DJer from way back in the day. Unfortunately, the glass is cracked. So this very nice, fascinating VFD is no longer a thing. It's just, it wouldn't work. I can't harvest it. That would have been really cool to have as a display, but there's no chance. The fill neck has popped off of it. So sad. Power went out, but we're back. Haystack is a survivor. Why did power go out? I think we're out of the woods in terms of weather for me. Winter is going to make way to summer. We've had several rains. It's been gray for a week here. But I think my weather it's become boring again. The switch will return as soon as you don't need it. I understand that completely. I know it in my soul. I know it in my very soul. This was a mixer, this is a hard drive recorder, a professional hard drive recorder for video that was very generously sent in here from the other Lone Star. The other Lone Star works at a museum in New York. He got that job well after I met the guy. We met the guy actually from a friend of mine. Three Mares was like, you should check out this channel. He's got little fighting robots and they're trying to bonk each other on the head. And I watched that stream and got to know the other Lone Star back when we were both kind of starting out on Twitch. I ended up staying on Twitch for way too long. And he ended up getting a really cool job that takes up a lot of his time. But what happened was this unit gave out. What killed this unit was heat. 99% of the time, you're going to be dealing with some form of heat with electronics being the problem at hand. And in this case, what happened was the tiny little fan that Blackmagic put into this failed. The tiny little fan failed, and so this thing cooked itself alive to the point where this thing is just dead. There was no recovering it. You couldn't just put a new fan in there. It wouldn't fix it. It just baked itself. So, but this thing has a lot of really nice analog parts on it. I was hearing a chainsaw this morning, so maybe they dropped a tree on a line. Oh, yeah, that happens here a lot. That's the BMW circuit board. That happens here quite a lot. And then during the summer, we just get like chainsaws all summer. This is the display board for the Blackmagic recorder, and it's got some pretty expensive LED controllers on it, and it's got some really neat techniques. It's got 2 LEDs on each of the buttons, but they're on the opposite side of the circuit board, so there's like a hole in it, and the LED is suspended between them. These are all LEDs that surround the drive caddies. Some cool stuff on this one. The reason we're doing this is so that I can absolutely make sure that I know that there's nothing in here. The switch is not in this location. Okay, this pile of circuit boards is unstable suddenly. If I hear chainsaw outside, some shit is going down. No, it's just like listening to the birds. You hear chainsaws. That's an old peripheral, and I kind of hate this board because it hurts to touch. All the through holes sharp. Broken graphics card. One of these is a Voodoo, I think. My old router. A lot of state secrets in this thing. Controller, part of the security system in this house. This is a speak and spell. I wanted to reverse engineer the TI part. I don't think the display works anymore, but this is a speak and spell. And it's got this big chip here that is basically primarily concerned with phonemes, and you can send it various like digital signals on the thing and make all the type noises. But again, we kind of looked at it, and there wasn't really like an Arduino project for it, and so that kind of went by the wayside. But maybe at one point I'll get that chip out of there and I'll put it on like a modular synthesizer that'll make all those weird noises. I have one that's circuit bent. That's up on the wall. Yeah, the birds with chainsaws making... Actually, I did hear a woodpecker the other day. Oh yeah, this is what happened to my Voodoo graphics card. I cut the back off of it because I needed a flat pad for soldering. I should put this up here. That's actually a tool that I use. Actually, I should put it in the drawers. Whoa, I almost fell. I didn't know how much butt real estate I had on that stool. So fascinatingly, this is a glucose monitor. It's one of the ones that uses the conductive stuff that you put the blood up against, right? You put a prick on your finger, you take a little tiny drop of blood, and it's drawn into the strip, the plastic strip, a little space in it, and mixes with some kind of a chemical, and then provides them with something like a voltage level that it uses to then tell you what your blood glucose level is. A lot of interesting circuitry on this one too. We tried to take a look at exactly what it was doing. It seems like there are some very precise voltage level electronics on one end, and then it'll switch over to the actual strip itself. So I guess it calibrates itself off of a voltage, and then it flips over to read the voltage of the strip. Weird stuff. Way more fascinating than it had any right to be. This is an old sound card. This is an old creative sound card. It's got a creative chip on it too. All right, let's see, various routers, a very large plug for some reason, 220 volt, 3D printer stuff. Let's see, let's get to the bottom of this thing. I don't remember what that was. Microcontroller that I'm never going to use. Yeah, I should probably go through this bin a little bit more seriously. I was really hoping that suddenly we'd just find this switch down here, because this would be a very logical place for it to go. Oh, one of my biggest regrets, one of my large regrets here for the stream is the Sony Handycam. A viewer back during the COVID days sent me their Sony Handycam to take apart and take a look at. And I said, well, you know, if I'm taking it apart, it's never going to go back together again. And that was a mistake, because although there were a lot of fascinating things inside of the Sony Handycam, these things are worth like $1,000 now. And not that I would be selling it, they make a really good looking video. It looks like a Handycam video. It's actually really like a cool style choice, because that's what the world has come to these days. But it looks like, you know, it's filmed on a Sony Handycam, which is a kind of a cool little niche video look with a little bit of chromatic aberration. Now you can do that with plugins, but it's more fun if you actually have the real hardware. Also, if I did more analog video channels, I could cook them a little bit more. I could have more interference in the way of the video, and that would kind of make it look fun. I have a bin of extra screws. Yeah, that's what this has pretty much become. What the heck is this? This thing with all these wires. Oh, it's a motor controller. What are you doing in here? I guess we've used other motor controllers. Huh. So really tiny, huh? All the drone stuff, man. Don't do drones anymore. I don't have room to fly. Oh, I also just don't have the drones anymore. All right, so it's definitely not in here. So I have been through this bin. I do know that it's not in here. I was hoping if we found that switch, that would have changed the nature of this stream. This is a very malleable stream today. I put in a generic title because I didn't know what I was going to end up working on. And so we're just doing general simulator stuff. So looking for the switch that I was going to install in the simulator is a valid stream topic. But in general, what I'm really trying to do here is clean up, make space, make room for stuff. Wait, what's this? This might be useful. Hey, it's a hub. It's a hub that I never used. Yeah, that's the bin of derelict electronics. When stuff goes wrong, it usually ends up in there. Well, here's a powered USB 2 hub. Have I like harvested anything from this? No. I must have just taken it apart and just left it because I didn't like it. This might actually be very useful in my sort of main plan for this device, this whole sim thing, because what I'm going to do is have CAN bus HID devices plugged into this hub, and then the hub is what you plug into your computer. So there's one plug, and then 4 or 5 devices then show up on your computer. And just in case the game doesn't like one singular thing with 500 buttons, you could configure it to be multiples with multiple different buttons. And then another pen. Where do these coming from? Like 50 of these fucking things. Why do I keep finding them? I keep putting them away. I feel like it's like Sisyphusian. Sisyphus is the right one, right? Is that right? Pushing a rock. I've seen BMW scrapyards with less parts than you have on your desk. What do you mean? It's just the stalks and the shifter and the gas pedal. The other pedals are over on the simulator. It is a lot of BMW parts, you're right. And the steering wheel motor. So the idea is that I'll have a hub, USB hub, with HID devices plugged into it. They're all speaking CAN bus. Car accessories that already speak CAN bus will be speaking CAN bus. Button pads and buttons and switch things will also speak that same CAN bus. So instead of having a bunch of USB accessories that I sort of hook up and run various pieces of software in order to run them, these will all be native HID devices to the Windows computer, and they'll be configured based on what I'm doing. So in Node-RED, because we have a signal moderator, we have a Raspberry Pi that's sitting on the same CAN bus and listening to all of the other signals that these things are sending out, it will then create the packets that will tell the HID devices what to do. So, oh, this analog, we're going to scale it and we're going to put it on this one, right? Does YouTube chat do interactions? I think there's a way to do it, but the problem is the YouTube API. The YouTube API is terrible. You have to spend ticks on the API in order to read chat, and then you have to spend ticks in order to, get stuff that's happening on YouTube. With the Twitch API, it is just a pub sub thing that informs you that something has happened. So if channel points are spent, we can have that go into Node-RED, which I have all configured up over here. And then we go to this. And then we go to this. My stream could just be me explaining all of these things all day. We have a well, that's for Stream Deck. For the Twitch interaction, I have a Twitch plugin that then filters through what the messages are. It'll have a whole XML thing that it spits out, and that does all of my various interactions, including the fart noise maker, including the light to my right over here. Twitch doesn't get to control this light. This light is controlled by OBS, by me switching scenes, so that when I go to this view, we get this extra piece of illumination, so you can actually see what I'm doing. You didn't have to do that. You have to do, why did you do that? Why would you do that to me? But yeah, so all that stuff happens within Node-RED. Yeah, if you say idea in chat, this thing lights up yellow. So why Node-RED? Well, first of all, Node-RED is a really good tool for automation, like real automation, not just home automation, real full automation. It is a visual program where you can connect a bunch of spaghetti together. And if I'm using it for the simulator, I can bring Twitch interaction into the simulator. So re-enter into the chat the electronic chair, the luxury electronic adjustable steering wheel, possibly with heat, possibly with heat. I don't know if they have heat. We'll have to figure that out at some point. So if I can get everybody digitally communicating, I can control things in the real world from Twitch chat, from whatever, and I can configure it on the fly. That's the idea. I'm still working on our proof of concept, and we got a little bit distracted with some stuff on the way. But I need to clean stuff up a little bit more around here, and a great way to clean it up would be to install it all over there. But I'm still working on that. So maybe we can get something that'll hold on to these stocks for me. Add the CRX to a dev mode in settings. No store publishing needed. CRX? I don't have a CRX. But yeah, so that's the idea. We're getting there. We're getting there. I've got some physical stuff with the actual steering wheel setup so that I can kind of lock it down a little bit more. The thing about like building things with real car parts is when you hit the brakes on a car, you're basically bench pressing, and the human body is really, really good at, have you ever done those leg things, like the little incline? You put like hundreds and hundreds of pounds on it, and you're still like, you're still able to move it perfectly. We have to somehow receive all those hundreds of pounds, but also hold the pedals at a particular angle. So I've made some 3D printed parts that I need to install in the frame to get it all together. Got a lot of stuff. Want me to build you something for chat? Simple HTML code you can read. For YouTube chat? If you have an example, I would love to take a look at it, because I've looked into getting YouTube API out of YouTube, and even just monitoring chat can use up all your ticks for the day. So I already use all my channel points for farts. It's unfair to have them cost so high. No, it's not. You get 2 per stream. If I stream for 5 hours, you get 2 farts worth of points. It's not unfair. It's actually quite equitable that I even allow you to use it at all. There's even if I'm talking in chat and I go, yeah, so I made this thing that makes fart noises, everybody jumps in to make it fart. You don't have to. You could save your points. So no, that's not on me. None of that's on me. I am a merciful God. Possibly the most humble and merciful God there is. Installing these on the wheel itself would probably be a lot better. In terms of like organizing it, this has just been like a loose assembly of breadboarded stuff. And then this isn't even the same manufacturer, but it's going to sit somewhere like that. And you can already see that's starting to take like the shape of something that's sort of steering wheel-ish. There's just something like that. Fart fans in chat. What? What have I become? What have I done? Yeah, I mean, I would love to have something that would hold on to these things. I mean, massive standoffs would probably be good, but this seems to want to mount to something in front of it. Same with this one. So if they screw from behind, I guess I need to come up with some kind of a substrate that'll hold on to these. I have a mod app that highlights keywords. Been a while, I must work on it too. No worries. I mean, the YouTube stuff, mostly I'm using YouTube just to archive. It just holds on to my videos for longer, you know? Twitch is where all the action is. These are all CAN bus adapters. I can just move these over. How am I going to hold on to this thing? Okay, so thinking about it, I mean, I could probably throw some Maker Beam at it right now, and maybe that would hold it up, or do I need to start Fusion 360 up and start actually designing the thing? I mean, we're going to probably have to 3D scan a bunch of stuff. So if I 3D scan this, I can at least get some of this mounting stuff, because this is complicated. There's a lot of like stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there. And then we're actually going to have to incorporate the slip ring into it all too. So it'll have to be all this stuff. Maybe that is a better, because this is already in CAD. This is a 2020 project. Holy shit, 6 years ago. Whoa! What is it? It's oh boy, what's the date? 5/26. So not quite 6 years. Yeah, so this has to be incorporated in it. The thing about the simulator is that it is not a car. There are no wheels. There's no steering rack. There is a steering column that we crashed in order to make it more compact, because that was a lot of crash structures and stuff. But there is no steering rack, and so there's no bump stop. So, I mean, maybe I could engineer one, but the only thing that really needs to change is that the steering wheel can go 360 degrees. So we can't have a traditional clock spring in it. Traditional clock spring, used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe I threw that out too. Or it's somewhere in all of the project storage. I'm not sure. I had a traditional BMW clock spring from a steering wheel. When you get on eBay at just the right times, you can get this stuff for really, really cheap. These parts that should cost a fortune can cost like nothing. I spent maybe $20 on it, and I think it came with the two stalks too, because all that stuff fit in together, and it had this spinning thing on it. What it is something with grease inside of it, basically plastic grease, and it spins with the steering wheel on one end, and the other end stays fixed. In between the two is one of those flat cables, and the flat cable is wrapped in one direction, reverses on itself, and then wraps in the other direction, so that when you spin these two relative to one another, the cable will be rolling out on one side and rolling in on the other. So when you twist that 2.5 times, it runs into the end of the cable. There is a little piece of plastic on it that stops it from spinning anymore. But we're talking about an 18-pound servo and like a full-ass steering wheel. That little piece of plastic is supposed to not be used. It's just there for just general stopping purposes. The real thing that stops the steering wheel from moving is the steering shaft, and it stops because your wheel hits some kind of a bump stop and is unable to articulate anymore, right? Those are all big mechanical things. A little piece of plastic's not really going to prevent anything bad from happening, so having that on the wheel is a recipe for disaster. Basically, at some point, somebody will lean against your wheel and it'll go crunch, and then weird stuff starts happening. So you don't want to have that happen. So what I did is I designed a circuit board that would go on the servo, have 3 uninterrupted tracks, and then have a couple little wipers just right up against it. And so those wipe across as the thing spins. I put a little dielectric grease in it to shut it up because they were squeaking. Eventually, they'll probably dig a trough, and then it'll stop working, but I've got a couple extras. You know, this was back when circuit boards were $5 and the tariffs didn't change depending on the whims of a boiled brain. But anyway, so that's been working perfectly. It lets the wheel spin 360 degrees. We need to incorporate it into this thing, and I don't want to get new circuit boards. So this CAD model and everything will probably have to be incorporated with this. The part that spins has to have some kind of a pin on it, because that'll enable the click back on the turn signal. So that little pin sticks out, the wheel can click by it, and then when it comes back, it'll click it off turning. So those are things that I need to consider with the design of the stalks. So putting it into a temporary setup for now, I mean, I guess that's something that we could try to do. Yeah, that's going to have to be in CAD, isn't it? To get them all in the right position. We'll have to do a little bit of 3D scanning. But can I just like lash these together so that I have something to do with the electronics? I don't know. I don't know if I could like put them onto a test bed so they're not just rolling around. Maybe I'll just put them away for now. That's maybe the best bet. And we got all kinds of other switches and buttons and stuff too. When I was looking around, I actually found this switch, which is fascinating. It's just literally an up and a down, but there's a lot to it. Let's take a look inside of the switch. I can show you guys what's inside it. I can show it off to you guys because it's cool. And electronics are cool, and I won't have anybody tell me any differently. This is the only accessory that we have that natively speaks the right kind of CAN bus, by the way. This speaks the 500 kbps CAN bus, which is why it's become kind of the darling of our reverse engineering efforts for right now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it in the real thing because these plus and minus shifters, I already have one. It's that. It's there. It's, oh, hold on. No, the camera's being weird. That right there. That's the one for the E46 M3. I already have it, but it's, yeah, it's the shift speeds, whatever, but it's not useful because I have the 3D printed shifter, which is much better than this thing. Oh, great. My whole camera rig has become, like I said, this whole place is a house of cards and it's been tumbling down around me for a little while. I need to tighten this camera mount like that without bending my screwdriver. This screwdriver is bent. Wait a minute. No, it's not. Okay, maybe it's okay. Yeah, so anyway. This one does knock over to the side and do the plus minus thing, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I think this would probably be best suited as something like down to the right, like not really a parking brake, but kind of near it. And I could use that to control something else. I don't know. I really don't know. And it displays the gears and stuff too, which is a little weird. This is from the E46 shifter. This is a switch that went right below it and it controls something. But here, we can show you the insides of this thing. It's pretty simple. Is that what it is? That's the shift speed. My friend didn't want nothing to do with it because basically the way to get an E46 M3, I don't think you can do this anymore, was to buy the one with the Steptronic shifter and then swap the transmission, because these are all parts bin cars, right? You could just buy the manual transmission and just swap it over, and then you've got a manual M3. That should have been something that I did, but I didn't do that because M3s are too expensive. They're very expensive cars to just have. So this is held on with four big clips. SMG was a terrible gearbox. It's funny because the SMG shifter, I was telling my friends, like, the SMG shifter is really not well made. There are some like glaring weirdnesses with that shifter. And he's like, what? That's like the most reliable part of the entire system is that shifter. So it's funny that that's the part that we panned as being really weird. Like, it looks like they designed it in a weekend, like right before Oktoberfest, because there are just some weird, one trace on one side of the board goes in sort of an arc, and then the same trace on the other side of the board is going in like 45-degree angle bends. It doesn't make any sense. It's such a weird thing. So like many of these automotive accessories, they seem to have the pins going through the plastic instead of buying like a header or a connector. They just mold it into the rest of the body of the actual device. And so we've got just pins hanging out. And these pins do not use solder. They're just expanded in place in order to contact the vias. I suppose not using solder maybe saves them money, but I think mostly it would probably be like a corrosion thing. I don't know, because these use solder, but these don't. So I don't really know why they're not using solder in those headers. Maybe they're cheaper to replace. I don't really know. This is also, I guess, a device of some kind, but it's a big spongy button with a nice orange LED in the middle. BMW likes their orange interiors because it's easier on the eyes, less night vision issues with orange, I suppose. And so those will be dimmable. And I could probably put something in the middle, because I mean, look at that. It seems like they probably wanted to have something in the middle. Oh no, but there's no, can't really get light through it. Most of the light's going to be coming from these two. And I guess the brighter they are, the more the middle stuff will light up, but I still have a working handy cam. That's pretty cool. It's that would have been a really fun thing. Back when I got that handy cam, I had the fleeting thought that I should keep it around as a video device for here, because it was fun to put the webcam behind the actual viewfinder and like use the little zoom that it has to zoom in on stuff, because it's like an aesthetic. It's a video aesthetic. It's a good one too. It would be kind of interesting if, I mean, I do have some analog cameras still that we could use to do like the Willow, my dog camera, basically. My dog she's taken on the duties of a guard dog. We never asked her to, but that's what she does in the afternoons when I stream. Just locked in. Yeah, so what she's decided to do of her own volition, because I don't force her to sit on her bed, she's decided to go to the front door and bark at people passing by. So that's what we let her do. And then she'll sleep there. She has 2 little blankets that she'll kind of like rustle under herself and then very sweetly sleep there. Here, I have a picture of it actually. It's the latest Willow picture that I took that I decided not to share with the Discord, because I have a monopoly on the Willow pictures. Oh, yeah, this is her not wanting to go outside. I'm like, girl, you don't have a choice. We are going for a walk. No. I thought I took a picture of her. I think maybe I shared it with the chat. I think I definitely shared this one. She's a good girl. She loves snow. That dog loves snow. I'll tell you what. She would like nothing more than to, even now as it's melting here in Pennsylvania, we've had a week of gray and rain. The snow's all melting away and my dog is mourning it. She will march out on top of the little bits of plowed snow that we have left and just kind of sit on it. I'm like, dude, come on. What are we doing here? So I don't know where I'm going to incorporate this, but I'm definitely going to incorporate it somehow. I guess I can leave reverse engineering it for later. I could even just mark what each pin is on the back. I don't know. One-step Poland land camera. That's a weird one. Older than I am. No, all right. It looks like, I mean, the pinout's pretty simple on this thing. It's just the LEDs and then the buttons. And it looks like the LEDs are the center ones and the buttons are the surround. And it looks like there's one pin for both buttons. This is a thing that BMW and I guess Mercedes does it too. They will have just a resistor and then 2 different voltage levels for your buttons so that they can use only one wire. Even though, like, what are they doing with all these pins? Like, one LED and then the other LED, are they separate? We're using 5 pins for 2 buttons and 2 LEDs. So if they're all individual, maybe that makes sense, but it looks like, I mean, are the buttons separate? What is the resistor doing? It looks like the resistor is going between one button. I believe these are the button pins. So when you hit one of the buttons, no, I don't know. Look at the multimeter on this. That'll solve some of these problems. And then I'll forget about this by the time I actually get to using this button, because it's a nice little panel mount button. I like it. One of the cool things that the multimeter does is you have a diode mode, and the diode mode will beep at you, which is why you never, ever, ever use the diode mode. Do not use the diode mode for what everybody usually uses it for, right? Don't do it. This mode, little beepy, beep, 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 beep. If you're in an office full of these fucking things and everybody's trying to reverse engineer something, beep, 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 beep. I have a thing about beeps. I've been a diabetic for 31 years, type 1 diabetic, 31 years, yeah. No, it's actually more than that. I'll have to calculate it later, but it has been more than 30 years. Anyway, so every time something beeps, I have to pay attention to it because it'll be a piece of equipment telling me that something is wrong. So I hate the beeps. But I mean, being in an office full of people reverse engineering stuff will also condition you to hate the beeps. So what I do is when I'm actually trying to figure out what the structure of a circuit is, I go to Ohm's mode. Ohm's mode will give you a little bit more information. It'll give you a little bit more information than what you typically get from something, from testing continuity on 2 points. And what that can tell you is things like, oh, there's a resistor on the line, or you know, this circuit goes a long way to get to this other area. I still don't know what he's making. I love this shop. I don't know what I'm making either. We're just kind of noodling around with stuff right now. We're looking at automotive devices because my brother dropped a whole ass car chair on me during the holidays, and I sourced a bunch of really big industrial rails. I bought for 20 bucks a Mercedes steering column. This was previously strapped to a 20-pound servo motor, which is this right here. It's a Mitsubishi Mel servo. Thing about servos. The thing about servos is they have a service life. And the thing about robots in factories is if they go wrong, you can break a lot of more expensive stuff than a motor. So at a certain service life, a lot of these big industrial motors are plucked and they're replaced with new ones so that the robot can continue its function without ruining everybody or killing humans. So they end up on a shelf. Well, this motor's dead, it's on a shelf, and that motor on a shelf ends up in somebody's car, and then it ends up on eBay, and that's where I buy it. So I was able to get a couple of these Mitsubishi Mel servos for really cheap. The thing about the Mitsubishi Mel servo that makes it like bad is that Mitsubishi keeps everything proprietary. And so the Mitsubishi Mel servo only speaks to the Mitsubishi Mel servo controller until you characterize the whole motor and all of its coils. What is it? I mean, it's just a motor, right? It's just an industrial motor. It's not like the motor is digital. Digital motors are not a thing. That doesn't exist. Don't listen to Dyson. Dyson is lying to you. Motors are not inherently digital. Motors are coils. They're math. They're a bunch of math in a little coiled up ball of copper. So back of the servo has the encoder. The encoder speaking a proprietary language. Pluck that mofo, put on our own encoder, one that's has a data sheet so we know what it's talking. And it turns out the CUI incorporated capacitive rotary encoder, not quite as accurate, but we're talking about like the distances that atoms travel. We're talking about very, very tiny distances here in terms of, oh, it's not that accurate. Well, we're talking about like 16 bits instead of 32. Like, it's not a big deal. And the bolt pattern was exactly the same as the CUI incorporated one. So it was the easiest swap to do. The only trouble I had was getting the encoder disk off of the back end of the servo. So anyway, my brother calls us up during the holidays and talking about car projects and stuff. And he says, yeah, I found a whole new luxury interior for the BMW I bought. And you know, I've been telling him for quite some time, there's nothing more expensive than a cheap BMW. Because if you buy these cheap BMWs, it means they're looking down the barrel of a high mileage maintenance. And the high mileage maintenance is very necessary, and it involves replacing the entire radiator because they decided to use plastic that gets brittle in the radiator. So while he was sort of trudging through this whole upgrade thing, he wound up at a junkyard and he saw a car with the luxury interior instead of the sport interior. And so you're looking at a sport interior seat, which speaks, it has a whole ass computer in it, and it speaks CAN bus in order to adjust the headrest, the backrest, the tilt, the angle, the lateral, front and back. So I bought that, and I bought all the frames, and we kind of set it all up, and I'm starting to just hang all of these car accessories onto that frame. So there's a physical project here, and there's also a digital project here. And so the digital project is, how am I going to make this thing into a simulator? I have real car parts after all. This is also the shifter that he gave me. I don't like it. It's like a weird chicken wing that you have to touch. I don't like that. I don't like how there's a big chicken wing that I'm supposed to shift the car with. It's really weird. But we were able to actually get a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino speaking CAN bus to this, and we got the signals out of it, in and out of it. So I've been rifling around with all the stuff that I've got in the shop, and there's a lot. I've been collecting simulator stuff off and on for quite some time, and there's a lot of little like $20 car purchases that I've made in light of having this clip-on steering wheel. Captain Flatulence to go towards doggo treats and BMW parts. The $10 would probably get me half of this button. I appreciate that very much. The $10 will buy more treats, though. I'll definitely get the corgi some treats for that. That's very nice of Captain Flatulence. Thank you so much. You should really watch Flatulent Gonad. I think you would really fit in the all the fart names we're putting into one stream. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just kind of like looking at some of the different stuff that we've got going on here, some of the different hardware that I've got. I don't have any particular specific project in mind today because I've been in the middle of reverse engineering a MIDI pad. The MIDI pad has very little to do with, well, it was purchased specifically for the sim setup. Wait, does this have, oh, it's got two different size pins. So the big pin goes that way. Little pin goes this way. There we go. So, yeah, I have been reverse engineering this button pad, this MIDI pad. This thing is not something you can buy anymore. Can't really buy, hold on, let me just get this back together so that it's, so now we know what this thing does, right? We can eventually put that in something. I don't know what we'll do with it, but this is a big MIDI pad. It's made by Samson, but you can't find them anymore. You can find knockoffs of them up and down the block. They didn't sell very well. This thing is basically the size of a 10 keyless keyboard, and it can sit below your keyboard, and you can do tap pads, faders, and a little encoder thing here. What I want to do is I want to incorporate this with the rest of the setup. So I'll have, you know, physical lights, buttons, switches that I can control things with, and they'll all speak on the same bus. And so we looked at this thing and we took it apart because the USB plug had fallen off. It turns out this thing is an STM32. This thing is an STM32, and the chip is just, hold on, where is it? The chip is just blatantly the STM32 just on this board. And it's like, wow, they didn't even like develop it and then get like an epoxy top or anything like that. We can just like directly reprogram this thing if it will allow us. Otherwise, I'll have to buy the chip and desolder this one. But I spent my day yesterday reverse engineering the rest of this thing to find out how it works, and it's actually pretty cool. Let me show you guys. I got a whole MS Paint document. It's in the Discord if you're interested. But this thing right here is the, okay, where is it? Hold on. I need to actually control my windows here. The Samson Graphite MD13. You can find a knockoff of it. There's no guarantee that it'll have the STM32 on it. But with the STM32 on it, that means that we can actually just get in here and reverse engineer it. And lucky for us, there's a tutorial on how to use an STM32 with Arduino, which makes it a lot easier for me. But I've mapped out where everything is connected. The LEDs are connected directly, so we can control those LEDs individually just by sending them a pulse. We have an AB encoder that's just very straightforward. It's exactly how you would hook up an AB encoder. USB comes into the USB pins, shockingly enough. It has an LM1117, which we're familiar with from all the music stuff. So I can send this 12 volts. The 1117 is going to get a little toasty with 12 volts, but I don't think we're going to be using a ton of it. So, and then if I plug in the USB ports, they're actually also the CAN ports. Type 2? What's type 2? Type 2 in chat? If you see numbers in chat, that's because they're trying to make fart noises. The fart box works in such a way as you use your Twitch channel points, and it asks you if you want to set off a particular fart, 1 through 9. 0 is random. And if you type anything other than a number, it'll just choose random. But anyway, so there are some buttons on it that aren't pressure sensitive. Those are in a grid. So in order to save pins on the microcontroller, they're literally using every pin they have. The way they're able to get 8 buttons on 6 pins is by putting it in a grid, which is a little weird, but I guess they just decided to do it that way. It's probably scaled off of another project, right? They probably have all this stuff like modularly set up in their design files. We like to choose our fart noises. Yeah, those that just show up as a number. They're also using a 74HC4051. 7400 series are a legendary series of logic, mostly chips, that do all kinds of different tasks in electronic engineering. If you are dealing with older engineers, they will be very much gung-ho about the 7400 series because it's all 5 volts and it's all like easy logic stuff. You can put LEDs on stuff to see what they're doing. It's a lot of fun to kind of lay things out and sort of logically plan them. The 4051 is what's called a mux. A mux simply gets an address of whichever line you want to look at. So this one's an 8-to-1 mux. So we have 8 channels of analog going into one output. There is an extra analog channel in case I want to do anything with that. Turn the car seat into a gaming chair. Well, I mean, that's what it is right now. It's a simulator chair. The car seats don't really work that well as gaming chairs just because it's bulky. It's very bulky and it needs power in order to adjust and stuff. So you're better using an ergonomic chair as a gaming chair. So anyway, the 7400 series chip was a necessary evil in order to make all the knobs happen, right? So that means it's just using one analog. The, what is it? The other analogs are actually the tap pads, the ones here that I've labeled P1 through 13. Yeah, P1 through 13. Those tap pads use essentially the same thing that the Sony controllers use, the DualShock 4 uses it, where you have a convex conductive material, and when you press down more and more on it, you're shorting out more and more of a resistive element. So you have a resistive element, in this case it's broken, it's got a split between the two sides, but it is a large pad made out of resistive stuff. That's what these are. These big complicated things are there so that if you hit the pad in a weird angle, there's always going to be 2 contacts for it to short. And the more you press down, the less resistance is there. And so when you have a voltage divider, you have a weak pull down. The 2.2K is pulling it down to ground. So the microcontroller sees nothing but ground. When you first contact that tap pad, you're going through more of the resistive material. So you have a larger resistor. So 2 large resistors, the ground resistor is going to win out. And so you'll have a lower voltage until you press harder and harder. As you press harder and harder, more of the material is shorted out. Your resistor goes lower and lower. The resistance goes lower and lower. And you end up seeing more and more of that 3 volts. Pretty cool little system there. I would put this together and show you guys on the multimeter, but that's too much contorting for me to do. I don't think I'd be able to give you a good example of it. I used to use this, and I used it for a little bit for like Star Citizen and stuff, so that I had like controls. I didn't use the pressure system. In the case of re-engineering this thing and taking over the microcontroller in it, we can make it do whatever we want. We'll make it do our bidding. I'm excited about that. All right, let's do something like real instead of me just plugging numbers and explaining myself. I want to actually like, oh, VKB simulator black box. This was for my foot pedals, which I still have to figure out where we're putting these on this system. But these foot pedals just use a little magnetic encoder to do the twist of this shaft right here. Just a little magnetic encoder. There's just a little magnet thing that monitors it. And it plugs into this orange thing. Yeah, it's the VKB black box, and it's clearly mislabeled. Very clearly mislabeled. All this does is a 180-degree sensor. And it's got a little ATtiny85 on it. And they managed to make it speak a secret language that I reverse engineered. It had to do with XORing 2 parts of a signal together. But that's so that you have to use this in order to plug into your computer. This thing will also plug into the joysticks and stuff, into the VKB joysticks. We have Thrustmaster joysticks, though. We'll have to take those over separately. I wonder, now that we know more, I want to take a look inside of this thing. I want to look inside of this thing and see what makes it tick. And then get rid of the rest of it, because I don't need it. I can make a pop sound without my finger in the mouth. Okay. MIDI are easy to convert. I mean, I could have done it straight with MIDI, using USB MIDI, I guess. Probably some computer program. But I want to shy away from using computer programs. I mean, obviously, using microcontroller programs is like the same thing, but a little bit more stable than running 60 different programs. The actual gaming computer can be more concentrated on gaming than having weird applications running. They always use 2 different size fasteners, don't they? Jeez. Why? Why? Why did they make this thing able to survive a car crash? And why is it using 2 different... Crazy. I guess VKB makes good hardware. I just bought their pedals because it was the right style of pedal. Install button on chair. Why? What purpose? All right, let's see here. Let's see what makes this thing tick. The other one was an AT Tiny, so I don't think this will be Atmel, but it might. They even put lock washers on these screws. That's kind of clever. I mean, VKB seems to make pretty decent hardware. Pretty decent hardware. There's more bolts. Those BMW seats are actually pretty popular with sim racists because what they'll do is put a square wave generator on it. You can buy off of Amazon just a simple little square wave generator, and if you set that sucker up to be about 100 hertz, 100 kilohertz? No, I think it was 100 hertz. If there's just a pulse on the CAN bus line every now and then, it will keep the chair awake. Otherwise, you get kind of erratic behavior out of the chair. The buttons on the side, when you power it up, they'll like kind of work. But people buy them, they put them in their Simpits, and then they'll put a little square wave generator on it. Also, classic car guys love to upgrade their seats using those things, using the modern BMW seats, and then they'll put a square wave generator on it. So we've standing on the backs of giants, we were able to, I guess I got to unscrew this too. We were able to get all this stuff together. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that my brother just like dropped off this big bundle of responsibility that I have to worry about. It's like here's a whole month worth of projects. It's more than a month. It's been more than a month. I gotta remind myself that. Obviously, I haven't been working on it 24/7, but all right, let's take a look at this board a little closer up. It looks like not much is going on the underside. Underside is just there to take all the I/O in. So you've got these like phone. This one's an Ethernet, and this one's a phone cable. So in their wisdom, VKB said, well, we can use these different hookups to hook up all of our accessories. We'll have these things digitally talk to one another, but let's use more common wiring so that people who are buying our stuff for their sim kit, their Simpit, can install this stuff however they want. They just need to go buy a phone cable. So we've got phone cables coming in from probably joysticks, and then the foot pedals use like an Ethernet cable, even though it's only using one of the lines to communicate. But having a twisted pair on your communication lines is a good thing. It's very nice. And I'm wondering if I should go do something similar with my CAN bus stuff, because having the wires run directly instead of being twisted pairs might induce a little bit more interference into my communications lines. Oh, TX1 ground, TX1 MOSI, plus 5 volts. They are very kind. They are labeling everything very clearly and in English. You don't have to do that. Bus, program, bus, boot. Well, that's kind of cool. You know, as much as I give VKB crap for making their serial communications kind of like secret codes, STM32F103 C8. Not okay. We have the R8 in the MIDI pad. That's crazy. This one is the STM32F103 R8. This is the difference between the C and the R. There's a whole bunch of pinouts. I keep finding these freaking things, right? Why do we keep finding these things? Oh, I bet you I could map it. I'm not going to reverse engineer this thing. It's too much. No, I'm not going to use this. Maybe I could use it as like for another part of the. No, I'm not going to do it. They get everywhere. I know. It's crazy. I guess we could overwrite this thing with Arduino if we wanted to. I'm not going to. I have the datasheet open right now. I already have the datasheet open because we keep running into these things. So we are that's the 100 pin. Nope. Keep going. Keep walking. What was it? Nope. Yep. LQF48 performance line. So let's see. The pins that are responsible for USB communications are PA 11 and 10. PA 11 and 10 are pins 31 and 32. Get my pointer. I need my pointer. Where's my pointy thing? Where you go? I need it. My desk is covered in simulator accessory, man baby toys. So I could make a big activity station that I can ring the bell and laugh at, and it's just an advanced absentee parenting tool. Oh, where did my pointer go? Where did it go? I have just this pin tool that I like to use to point at things. It's better that than my giant grubbly fingers, especially at a microscope scale. All right, so finding pin 32. Since we have evolved from vacuum tubes, this technology was originally vacuum tubes, and so as such, a vacuum tube is a circular piece of glass with pins coming out of the bottom. The circular piece of glass with pins has a gap, and so you go, what is it, clockwise or anti-clockwise or clockwise, I forget which one it is. But the point that I'm trying to make is that with integrated circuits, we follow those conventions, and so we have a marking for pin 1, and then we count around for all the pins. And the same thing if you only have pins on one side or the other, you count around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 10, 11, right? So in this case, we're just going around like this, and this is our pin 1. So as such, pins 1 through 12 are right here. We're looking for pins 31 and 32. So opposite of the dot is 25 to 36. So 1 to 12, 13 to 24, 25, 26, 27, and then, okay, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 are these two. These two are coming up and around at a breakneck pace. And they come through and they go up here, and they go up a little further, and then they come down over here. They're circling the airport, and they hit 2 resistors where they control LEDs. So these are probably not the USB pins. I haven't looked at the specific pin out for this chip, but USB communication coming in through here. We have a D- and a D+. So there's all kinds of stuff here to kind of protect our device and to power it, of course. So we're using some offshoot voltage regulator. That's a particularly large diode that's there for reverse powering, I suppose. Anyway, down here, the 4 pins, that is a big USB socket. 4 pins are D-, D+, power, and ground. So clearly power's coming up and out that way. Ground, we can see just the little remnants of a, what were these called again? These are called, what is that called? There's a particular type of pad where you have only one little line that goes out and connects to a ground plane. They're thermal pads. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. The word thermal. These are thermal pads. Thermal pads are designed so that you can actually solder this thing. I don't know if any of you have ever tried it before, but if you solder something without a thermal pad, sometimes your soldering iron will stick to the board because somehow the heat mass will stay in a small area until it starts to spread, and then suddenly all the heat gets sucked out and your iron ends up not being able to heat itself up enough to detach from the thing that you're soldering. It's very frustrating. It's why I have a gas-operated soldering iron on standby when I do stuff like this. So anyway, so that's ground. This is power. Here's D- and D+. They are close to the chip. They are close to the IC. They come in, they go through a resistor and a capacitor, and then they come in on these 2 lines here, which are, oh, they were next to the 2 that we were looking at. So PA 10 and 11 is 31 and 32. It's 36 and 35 are VSS and ground. 34, 33, and 32. Oh, I was looking at the wrong numbers. Yeah, so PA 10 and 11, just like in the other version of the chip that for the data sheet that I have open, they're doing the USB communication. So these will do USB, these will also do CAN bus if I really wanted to get crazy. Yeah, 32 and 33. And they are also PA 11 and 12, not 10 and 11. There's a big table with all the different pinouts that I could have looked at. I just was assuming that they would be the same ones. They're 2 up from where they were, though. That's crazy. So there's a lot of stuff going on. This is basically doing all of the business of becoming a computer accessory and relaying all of its HID button presses to the computer, and then it's also communicating with all the peripheral devices. And if you reversed an STM32, you could probably reprogram this and make it do what you want. I'm not going to do that. Let's see, OSC in and out. OSC 32, I don't know what that is. but all the programming pins are over here. So you can see these are pins so that you can program the device. Being able to put Arduino on the STM32 really broadens my horizons here. If I wanted to, and I don't, I don't want to, I could make this into my CAN bus moderation control thing. Although the Raspberry Pi is going to be doing that. That's cool. This thing I'm probably going to just chuck back into the bin. Probably just throw this thing back into the bin. I mean, it's good enclosure and everything. Should I put it... I should probably put it away properly. Just to be nice. But yeah, I bought this with the pedals. I don't know how much these cost these days. It's like you have to use this. They don't let you use other stuff. Begs the question where they got the idea from. One of these is a... Oh, I see. This centerpiece is the standoff. I get it. 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 Okay, so I can throw some bolts on that. It's like a nice little enclosure. It's a little crazy though. It's not very probably logically laid out for the microcontroller, but it's not that like I don't know. It's not that sensical to me. There's stuff like all over it, and it's got the weird hanging circuit board. So I don't really think I'll do anything with it unless I take it apart and hook it directly up to that tilt sensor. We could characterize this and figure out exactly what's going on, get the pin out. That's what I did with this thing. I wonder where else we will find STM32s. Seem a little bit more common than I give credit. Okay, one of these guys, they put a standoff in the middle of this thing. I just gotta honor it. They were kind enough to use a knurled post. It has little vertical cuts in it that allow me to actually grip the damn thing. Usually it would just be smooth. Or hex. If it was hex, I guess that would be a little bit better, because then I could use one of these guys on it. It doesn't need that much torque. What direction does this go in? Does it go this way? Or does it go this way? There's even like a jumper on it. What the heck? Why? Why is there a jumper on it? What are you doing? Why would you spend the money on that? T3 MOSI. TX1 ground, TX3 MOSI. So I'm guessing this goes this way. They definitely made sure to put enough markings on the, oh yeah, there's pin 1 to pin 1. Okay. They definitely put enough markings on this to kind of help you out if you find yourself getting into the brains of stuff. So I gotta give VKB a lot of credit for that. It's something that, I mean, Thrustmaster kind of does it. They label their different pins on the board, but they're not quite as clear. So it's a good trend in simulator stuff makers that they list out everything very meticulously. That's crazy. This is like a whole, this is basically what I want to do with the rest of the sim setup. This one device. We would be doing Hello World with the STM32 today, but I haven't gotten them in the mail. I ordered them a little too late yesterday, so they'll get here day before yesterday. I got 2 of them for $10. I don't know if the STM32 is like super obsolete, because like these accessories, the MIDI pad, this thing, they're old. They're not new. They've been around a while. I would assume nowadays everybody would use like an RP2040 or something. Something cheaper. The two boards were only $10 though, so that'll be interesting for me to get through. I don't know if I'll do it with you guys. But then we can throw a bunch of libraries onto an Arduino, and we can throw it in here, and we can make this thing speak to the rest of our CAN accessories. I don't know what the plugs are going to be for CAN bus. What should I use? Use like a weird automotive one. Could use an XT20. That's like a 20 amp connection. I don't need to use that. They have the XT plugs that have data pins on them now. So maybe I could get a couple of those. I have to buy a whole sack of them though. Do it like modular synthesizers and use mono cables for everything. That would be one of the weirder setups for this sim setup, is if I put a modular synthesizer on it too. And I can sit in my little dork nest and be the dorkiest of all the dorks in the land. To dork. Once again. No, I think what I'm going to do is build all the stuff into this, because this has space for electronics in the back. And so if I build it into this and I give it a different plug down here, we can get the pedals to speak CAN bus like everybody else. And I don't need this thing. Fascinating though this is. This is kind of crazy. Yes, and then the nerd icon was put into my chat, and that was the final straw. I finally realized what I had become. What I had become. So yeah, that's that. That's that pretty much. I mean, I do have to install the physical like things onto the chair itself. I want to get my sort of proof of concept done first. So I don't know what little jobs I have left on this thing. I don't know. I have a lot of reverse engineering to do, and I don't think that's good for me to do on camera, because things like this, like what is powering this? Let's take a look and see what we've got on this thing, controlling all the stuff. I think we were able to determine what it was. This is from the, who makes it? X85, the Cytec, they put it on the front. The Cytec X85 is a fascinating joystick. It feels a lot like a toy. Unfortunately, it does have that kind of like toy feel to it, with the buttons being kind of shallow. The Thrustmaster gets around this by having these big rubbery buttons on everything, and they require a little bit of force to press. But if you are weak, these are good. They're very near and clicky, right? They feel very crisp, which is not the feel that I'm looking for in like a flying setup. I want a big meaty throw on the button. But this is a force-sensitive joystick. I had a friend of mine machine a plate. This was back before I had my own milling machine. I had a friend of mine machine a plate that had all the fittings so that I could put this onto rails, and then the rails could be clipped to the edge of the desk, because this has a big, wide base, right? And so you have this force-sensitive joystick that doesn't move at all. It doesn't move. It moves microscopically. When you try to move this stick, twist it, push it in any of the directions, it is deflecting this huge bar that makes up the base. So you're deflecting this big bar. To the big bar, there is taped a micro electromechanical system, a MEMS device. That is basically resistors that are sitting on top of each other, and microscopically they will slide and provide you with a different resistance depending on how this thing moves. It's how you do all kinds of different force sensing applications. And while that's all well and good, on the F-16, they actually have a force sensitive joystick, but it has just 1 inch of articulation, because if you're sitting here trying to fly the device, you go white knuckle on the thing because you don't know where your maximum force is. You're sitting here and it's basically like, you know, you could be fly. Oh man, I should make that into a GIF where it's like shows the game and the airplane's moving all over the place, and you're just like, and then it just doesn't move. So I clip this to the side of the desk, because when you have that big large base on it, you end up putting a lot of force into it, and then suddenly it slips out from under you and you punch the table really hard. It's a nightmare. So the joystick is not the best. I do like it a lot, but the real takeaway from the X65F is that throttle. That throttle has all kinds of different connections in it, and it's really, really good. It feels really good. So Cytec, not really going with that. They also had this thing that you clip to the front of the joystick, and it gives you these touch controls. So you have this little flip up eject button. I call it eject. I labeled it eject anyway. You have a flip up button with an LED behind it. You have a mode display button. You have something labeled force setting, and then you have F1 to 4, right, on this little panel. There's a little plastic panel, and it fits into this whole system where you can clip on all these different accessories, like the switches. I don't know if people are still using these or not, but this is a really cool little display. And this would be a fantastic little display for the force feedback steering wheel, because we have 4 different modes. We have something that says force settings. I don't know what I do with the F keys, but this would definitely be an eject button in any game that I'd use it. Kenobi using the force. Yeah, but white knuckle gripping a joystick. I think I saw that porno. These have lights behind them too. And it is all at the mercy of an STM32. No, it's not. Did we ever determine what this was? I think we did look at it. NEC. Is it 944F? 944EB? F32. Was this a microcontroller? I think we may have determined that it was a microcontroller, which is very unfortunate for us. 2 pads there for a crystal. So it's possible that I need to reverse engineer this thing, because I don't think this is an ASIC. It might just be a micro. We have comm lines coming in over there. I can barely make that. I can't really see. Is that an F? It does look a bit like an F. F9234. Let's try it. Hold on, I gotta move stuff away from the keyboard if I'm gonna use the keyboard. Those go there, this goes back on the shelf where it gathers dust creatively. That button pad is not on this shelf, is it? No, it's not. I keep expecting it to be on this shelf, because this shelf is the most logical place for me to have put something like that little car thing, but it's definitely not on the shelf. I've looked on the shelf 3 times. I'm covered in dust because I've been looking on that shelf over and over again for that stupid car switch that I lost. I'm so mad about that switch. All right, so NEC. F9234. Oh, we already searched this and we couldn't find anything, huh? Well, that looks familiar. Original. F9234. They don't say what it is. They just say it's a chip. Very useful. Thank you. Thank you, seller. Thank you. Sometimes this will be like a little breakthrough. It'll say, you know, this is what the label says, but it's actually XYZ. Yeah, it's a microscope. It is a microscope made out of a webcam, and it's got about 2 feet, 3 feet of standoff distance. So it's perfect for this setup. Something that I developed over time. It uses a Kuro Kesu. It's a company that makes aluminum enclosures for webcams. I don't know if they're doing that as much anymore. I think they've got their own hardware that they sell for microscopy, but this is a Logitech C920 webcam in an aluminum enclosure. Brings it to a C-mount lens. I put a C-mount to Nikon adapter, and then a Nikon 18mm, whatever, the one everybody hates, lens on it. And that gives us the quite capable microscope views. And then I can put spacers in there and we can get even closer. Widely used integrated circuit known for its reliability and performance in various electronic applications. The what? Well, wait. This article provides comprehensive overview of the NEC F9234 chip, including its specifications. Oh, okay. What is it? EEPROM, memory, low power memory, automotive grade memory for vehicle systems. This is not, that's not, what? Identify the application, memory size, package type. Similar chips such as that, and that to ensure compatibility. Check the data sheet. What the fuck is this? Stands for electric arrays. There's a type of non-volatile memory that can be used and erased and reprogrammed. But that's not, it looks more like a microcontroller. I don't think it's an EEPROM, guys. That lens the other day, the black tube with gold pins, isn't that for IR cam? No. It's just regular. The top search results only tells you it's the Renesas 78F9234CS microcontroller. Which one did? Hold on, let me... This one. Renesas. Old company name. On April 1st, really? April Fool's NEC merged with Renesas? Okay. So it is a micro. MOS integrated circuit, 8-bit single chip microcontroller. So it is an 8-bit, it's its own little 8-bit micro. Curses. That's annoying because that means that it's not just like a simple TX-RX kind of thing. It's not like a port expander. It has its own crystal and everything. Maybe I can take it over. That one is old. First off, we're not working with the, latest high technology systems here. And this is a fairly old product. I mean, do you have a date code on this? 51 PS42, 1501G? Nah. So it's possible that maybe I take this thing apart and do my own bidding with it. We've obviously looked at this before, but it needs an STM F103. No, not another one. No, I've got tons of RP2040s. I would use those. I bought a 24 pack of these things for this very purpose. It's just doing all the wiring is going to be kind of annoying. Here, I got tons of these guys. If this has enough pins to do it, I don't know if it has enough pins. The RP2040 has quite a bit of pins, but I don't know if we can get away with it. How many pins are they using on this? All of them. They always use all of them. It's probably a matrix keypad and then a bunch of LEDs, and the LEDs are all going through their own transistors. So this thing, being as feeble as it is, probably can't even pump out enough current to light up a bunch of LEDs at the same time. So instead they put it over to transistors. Yeah, it's a 24 pack of these guys. It was about $2 a chip, and these are like knockoff Studio Zhaos. So I'm going to be putting these in a bunch of different things because the RP2040 is fast enough that it can do CAN bus easily. And if I really need the extra pins, I've got these over here. A little RP2040. Good stuff. It's got a little, I think RGB LED. I'm not sure if that's RGB or not. I've yet to actually program one of these to do anything, actually, to be fair. I wonder if I should we should try one of these out. Lunchtime. Ah, cool. It's way past lunchtime here. I had noodles. The carbonara noodles. Which you know what? I don't think I like them. I don't think I like them unless I have a pile of chicken to use with them. So that is a microcontroller. Its pinout is very small, very close together. I could potentially solder wires to this thing and then get my power and ground and everything from that. And then we wouldn't have this plug on the back. I would have to come up with a different one. The RP2040 is ridiculously quick, super cool chips, good for game controller inputs. Yes, they are very good for game controllers. Wow, that is a lot of pinouts. That's a lot of pins doing stuff. But yeah, I think what we can do is just do tiny little wires on this thing. I'll just have to figure out what the circuit looks like precisely. If you guys want to sit here and do a little reverse engineering with me, we don't have much else going on today. So, because I need to do a bunch of stuff on my own, and then in order to move forward with the STM32s, I have chips that are on the way, so they should be getting here soon. So I'm actually going to wiggle free these wires so that we can start working with this thing, because I'm not going to use this plug. We'll come up with another plug. We could also try to figure out what kind of plug we're using for all of this stuff. So that goes into the SciTech parts bin, which I do have. I actually have a bin for SciTech parts. This is a bit more of a aggressive takeover. This is another one of those things that won't return back to its primal form, huh? Well, the Redditor that sold it to me said that they wanted it to go to a good home, and that's what we're doing. We're providing good homes for all of these things and turning them into mutants. Was there actually a crystal on the other side of the board? I think they're using an internal crystal. Unless it's like taped on. Let's find out real quick. Let us find out. Yeah, so I've been trying to avoid like the really boring stuff with you guys. I've been treating my stream a little bit differently. We do get into a lot of the really cerebral stuff, but I'm trying to like do things faster and be a little bit more interesting and fun, you know? I should do like a cooking stream. That would probably be much more successful. But yeah, hopefully it's working a little better. But things have kind of quieted down lately. Had kind of a slow month, and I've been unavailable for stream much of the time. I am sorry about that. I will get to stream more. Get back on track, especially as this thing starts to go together. We have all these cool projects to do with it. There is no crystal on this side. That's right. This thing had these weird soldered in springs. The springs are soldered in. There's 94V0. 94V0 is actually has to do with the fire safety of the FR4 circuit board and how it catches fire and burns. It's not supposed to drip flaming stuff. Basically, is that standard. That must be for their programmer. Yeah, because you got a reset pin, X2 and X1, and then a ground. I wonder if this dinky little 8-bit microcontroller, I mean, we could try to reverse engineer it. I don't know what SciTech does with their protocols so that we could digitally communicate with that thing and make it do stuff. We'd have to plug it into the rest of the X85, and I can't bring myself to do that. It has 256 bytes of memory. A wax actuator? You mean like those things that where like they heat up and then it disconnects? The safety device? I don't think this microcontroller is going to be Arduino capable. PD78F932CS. It's just for shits and giggles. Oh my God. It's a search. It's a search that people have made. Why did that come up so easily? Let's do guide. Nope. Scribed? Oh boy. Are they not going to let me see the whole thing, or is this... Organization, 2 manuals are available. Pin functions, internal block functions, interrupts, other blah, 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 blah. Oh boy. And they wonder why nobody likes microcontrollers. Nobody uses... Why don't regular consumers use our microcontrollers? Oh, as the text has been blanked. At least the pinout's still there. Let's see, is pin 10 reset? Do we have the right thing? Induction coil heats the wax, super strong force. The copper flake in the wax inside. I don't understand that at all. That's strange. Okay, reset coming into the resistor, and then it goes into question mark. Oh, great. Great, wonderful, amazing. So likely that goes to pin 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are a diode. Or is it 6 and 7? Hold on. I don't listen, kids laughing at the 6, 7 quote unquote joke. They're two consecutive numbers. They're in sequence. So when I count things, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not funny because that's two numbers that you're counting. Stupid. Anyway, VSS and VDD are on pin 6 and 7, so we do actually have the right chip. This is a decoupling capacitor that's designed to keep the inrush of current from powering up different parts of your thing. A coil heats the copper. The wax melts slowly, stopping anything from forcing it to go fast, but it retains super strong forces. Interesting. You can make this at home. I don't know why I'd want to, but I'll look it up. What would I do with this? Thermo actuator. The manufacturer of wax-driven okay. Is it like an automation thing? Thermal actuation, OEM thermal damper actuator. I could use some dampness. I've seen oil systems used like this where, and I still have some somewhere around here. I think they're in my parts bins for things like CD-ROM drive opening and closing, where it'll have just like a little geared mechanical system, but then they'll put one of these like oil arresters on it. So this would be if you have something that heats up and you really need to unhook it. Like you have something that requires more force than just like a little solenoid. Like a diverter valve. They haven't even finished it? Come on, guys. Excuse me. Huh. Wax motor. What the heck? That's some weird technology that I've not heard of. It's fascinating. Oh, I see. So that would prevent slapping. I wonder, you know, God rest his soul. What's his face? The electrical guy that has like nothing behind his eyes. Well, anyway, that guy that has like the 400 car battery set up in his backyard. Like really cool setup, but the best he could come up with was slapping the two things together with hydraulics. He needs some of those wax actuators. I'm sure that could actually do the job of connecting this incredibly high voltage circuit. Obviously, he just kind of went up with whatever was in his brain at the time, but like if you really want, you can get ways to digitally, you know, like with a big FET, connect something like, you know, styropyro. There we go. Yeah. Styropyro. Fascinating videos. Probably a great person. I don't know them personally or anything like that. I'm talking about people that have way more celebrity and importance than I do, doing things that I know how to do, and it bothers me because I should be doing dumb stuff. We should be connecting things with shoestring and having stuff explode. Oh, you know him because he's the same last name. Well, the idea was two big copper plates smashed together, and since there's so much current running through that thing, it'll be able to connect it. But there are better industrial ways to connect that amount of current. High current knife switch. That's not high current enough. There we go. That's high current enough. So something like that, you could easily just have something that, you know, you could pull a string and it would slam this thing closed. He needed to shop around a little bit more for extreme industrial connectors because they exist. They're probably pretty expensive though, that's the thing. But then again, due to the lifespan of these devices, sometimes you can hop on eBay and you can get weird stuff like this for really cheap because these guys can't sell them anywhere else. Nobody's buying secondhand knife switches. Let's see. Like a high current knife switch. And a knife switch is probably not the right fit for that system. It probably needs to be something a little bit different than that. The knife switch is just what I came up with first in terms of how I would slap two pieces of copper together to make a connection. Because part of the whole StyroPyro setup was that the log splitter was used to split the two copper plates apart because they would weld to each other. Which again, there's other ways to do this. So me knowing weird industrial stuff, watching these videos, I get kind of frustrated that there are other better solutions for closing the contact. But keep in mind, I have like 5 people watching me right now, and StyroPyro has 1 million views on that probably already. So doing it the exciting way is something that I need to get better at. Styro Video's wild. He just hides behind a tree. Yeah, he's got a safety tree. Trees are pretty robust, but man, I don't know. Ducking behind a tree. And he goes, listen, I know safety, and I know how to be safe, okay? And then they show him cowering behind one layer of particle board and like a 1/16 of an inch of plexiglass with literal just fire bombs being thrown around. I know what I'm talking about when a magnetically charged bolt leaves your 400 amp throwing device at 2/3 of the speed of sound. The plexiglass ain't gonna do much, man. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what I would do in his shoes. Probably some kind of an inert gas containing switch of some kind. The person who would know exactly what to do would be the not Road Guy Rob. Who's the want to see something cool guy? That guy would know. He would know and probably have something on hand. Black center and red on either end. Roll on too. Oh, I bought one on eBay that's plastic. It's so on off. It's straight up not happy at all. Yeah, no, you got to get old. If you're getting that kind of hardware, you got to get old stuff. You got to get the old stuff. But yeah, I would absolutely have something that's like air actuated so that I could be a rubber hose away from it. Or some kind of an electronic actuation. This one is not STM32. This is what we expected. It's got an epoxy top. So this is a full replacement for this board. And I need these connectors too to replace it. That's for the switch panel over there. We're going to have all these controls I'm not going to know what to do with. I just amended my garden soil from 5.5 pH to 6.5. Hopefully this year I will get even more peppers. That reminds me, I probably need to start thinking about planting my peppers. And I have the automated light, but I need to, I guess, leave the soil outside for a day in the sun because they often have some kind of like a fungal infection going on in the soil when you buy it. And that's what happened to my peppers last year was they down here in the basement, they were a little bit too moist all the time and they got like a slime mold on them. So apparently you leave the soil up top in the sun for a little bit. But then I gotta put them, no, not physics stuff. It's different one. What is that guy? Something. Hold on. I'll probably figure it out. Oh no, I'm not. I don't think I'm logged in on YouTube, which is a blessing. I love that YouTube like asks you every single day if bake the oil or bake the soil in the oven. That's a good idea. I'll have to remember that. What is it? The YouTube asks you every single day without fail if you would like to turn on tracking your viewed videos. And every single time I tell them no, right? Don't ever turn it on. There's always one button. And if I hit that button, it will never ask me again if I want to turn it off. It's a one-way street. It's ridiculous. Damp off happened to me too. Helps to have a heat mat. I see. Yeah, maybe because with the LED grow lights aren't producing as much heat. If I had an incandescent grow light, then it would probably have enough heat to it that it would prevent that prevent the spores. How does this thing go on again? So that the 4 lights are there. Cytec, interestingly enough, they put opaque plastic, but not enough of it to block the light. Oh boy, we're gonna have to do some reverse engineering, aren't we? Let's carve out a new little thing. So save as, or not this one. We'll new. Make sure we save this one because I don't want to lose any of this data. New, and then this one is save as, and we'll jump back a directory. This is still the Mercwheel project. Button pads. Button switch things. And this would be the x85 B-pad. x85 B-pad. So we have voltage. Let's go a little bit bigger there. Actually, I don't know what we have. Hold on, wait a sec before I even start. Par 30 is a 40-degree beam. What? Par 30 beam style lights sends more towards the soil and narrows the beam, directing towards the plant, not the room. I do not have time for swanky plant lights. I just bought a grow panel from Amazon and I plugged it in. My grow light is a fluorescent lamp. I built 2 15-watt tubes and a ballast. Don't fluorescent lights not put out like a full spectrum for the plant? I mean, the LEDs are even worse, so I should talk. $12-pack for 50 Canadian loonies. Not so bad. Okay, diodes. Diodes are a surefire sign that we have a grid keypad on our hands here. And since we have 8 buttons, actually more than 8, 9 buttons. So how many columns do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, every button is going to get a diode, that's right. The number of columns will be depending on the other stuff. So hold on. Hey Wayne Johnson, how's it going? Thank you so much for subbing. That's 70 months. Those numbers are getting big. Those are getting to be big numbers, aren't they? So we have 4, 8, 9, 10. Oh no, 9. So there's 9 buttons, 9 LEDs, 51 burgers, 51 fries, 51. So it's 9 button, 9 LED. Nine buttons, 9 LEDs, and then let's see, we've got our chip with all of its pins. We're going to get to that in a minute. We'll do the LEDs first, because they're the fun part. LED, we got an anode, we got a cathode, and we got to see how to hook this up. Each one of these LEDs is getting their own transistor, because of this pithy 8-bit microcontroller that they've got controlling things in the background here. U202, probably a 3-volt regulator. I don't know what the maximum input for that is going to be, so that might need to get replaced. Depends. And then let's see, we've got BCC coming in. Data 1. So 2 DTI, do DT1, 2 clock, and do DTO. So in, out, and clock, it might be as simple as throwing it a clock and it'll give us the status of all this stuff. And maybe I don't have to do a whole takeover on the thing, but I guess we'll do a whole takeover on the whole thing just because I can't be helped. So we've got some pins there that are going up and out. 202, 201, Q, R210, R211. And then this one, I guess it's the coming out here. So those resistors on the bottom there are the outputs, and they're going to these pins here. I'm just looking through to see what's going on. This is our external communications through all those pins. And then I guess we're coming in from behind on a lot of these. But the keypad is going to be a grid. That's why those diodes are there. Do I see? I don't see any connections between these. That Franz Ferdinand song stuck in my head. This fire is out of control. It's from watching Cyberpunk. I finally watched it. It's not bad. It is an anime. They definitely made an anime. It's one of the animes of all time. Button there directly to the cathode of the diode, and the contact pins are not visible. And they're not grounded. There's a plus and a minus on the LED. So our button here, yeah, they made a Cyberpunk show, and it's large. Yeah, they made it, and it's an anime. It is structured and formatted as an anime. It watches like an anime. It is very anime. I have criticisms, but they involve spoilers, so I can't really levy the criticisms without spoiling people. And obviously, we've got somebody in the chat that hasn't seen it, so I'm not going to do that. What are we looking at? I wasn't here for the part. Yeah, this is the Cytec X85F, the force-sensitive joystick. This is a button panel for it, and I want to figure out what makes it tick, because this will also be another accessory that we include with the rest of the system. It turns out this is using a pretty busted old 8-bit microcontroller, which is generally fine. I could potentially take something like... Owie, pins, scratching. I could take something like an RP2040, one of these knockoff Studio Zhaos, and I could have it digitally communicate with this thing. We know the wires that are coming out of it and what they're doing, but we don't really know what the packet looks like. I could hook up the joystick that I've got sitting over there, and I could take a look at what the communication between, basically drop this thing on the digital lines and have it do a serial print of things once we characterize the signal a little bit with the scope, and then I can figure out what the different signals are that this thing is supposed to receive, or screw it, that X85F is permanently dead. It's never going back together the way that it was, so I can desolder this chip and just solder in my own RP2040 that'll be able to more than happily carry all the signals that we have. In doing so, I need to know what's here. I need to know how this thing is hooked up so that we know that we have enough pins, and we know what to hook up and where to hook it up. That's sort of what a lot of this stuff is becoming, a lot of these takeovers. I mean, the car parts will go back to being car parts, but this thing is permanently dead. There's no going back. There's just no going back. And I don't really want that force-sensitive joystick anymore. That thing sucks. But the X65F has one of the best throttles that I've ever used. But it had this huge pigtail of wires coming out of the back of it. So hooking it up with just USB as its own device, kind of not fun because you have all these extra wires sitting all over the place. So those wires are gone. This thing's getting a new brain. This panel over here is getting a new brain. Because, yeah, the microcontroller for that thing is sitting over there. You know, we could have hooked them up to one another. No, I don't want to do that. I want to get rid of this. This becomes its own thing now, and I've got this little control panel where I can, you know, turn on the headlights. Then I can set different force settings for the steering wheel. I think that'll be a cute use of this thing. I should just pull the chip. Let's pull the chip. I haven't soldered anything in a while. It's been a little too long since I've soldered something, and I think maybe that's why my mental state has been degrading over time. Of course, this is going to smell like dust because wherever this thing is getting its air from is going to be completely covered in dust. It's also covered in stuff. Let me move a couple of the plastic things out of the way. This, of course, is going to get a new brain. We'll put it back here, and it'll just sit externally on this plastic but the board will be just right here, and that way I can get directly to these connections. Actually, wait, no, that's a bad idea. Well, no, that's fine. I bought this specific plug for the gas pedal. But yeah, I can redo that and maybe put a circuit board here that'll just hang out with this stuff, and then this will be a CAN bus. Or I could buy a CAN bus gas pedal. How much are those? Hold on, let's take a look. Mental state is directly tied to the last time your iron was on? Yes, it is actually. Let's just keep it in the generation. BMW F10 gas pedal. The gauge clusters are like $1,000. I'm not doing that. 0820 BMW F10. Oh, M3 accelerator. Oh, that's not expensive. Question is labeled pins. That's nice. Is that speaking CAN bus though? BMW F10 pedal pinout. It's very blurry. Sensor 1 and 2. Yeah, get out of here. None of that. For N-series petrol engines, accelerator pedal, 2 independent Hall. It's Hall, H-A-L-L. I don't think Hall sensor. Yeah, that's a typo. You know, sometimes you'll run into something like that where you've used a term your whole life and you know it as Hall sensor, and then there will be something that looks like a typo, and I'll say, ha, dumb, they're dumb. They got the word wrong, they misspelled it. And then somebody in chat will be like, well, actually bother. It's actually called Hole because this one was developed by Hole in 1975 for digital vehicle systems, blah, 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 blah. And you'll learn this whole new thing that you've never been exposed to in your whole life. But no, in this case, it's a typo. So there's two sensors, just like in the old one. They do a voltage, just like in the old one. This is not a direct to CAN bus device, unless I'm looking at the wrong generation of pedal. But that's N series. What about, I don't know what, yeah, N13, M43. So that's not the F series. Do we have any information that's specific to the F series? F10, GWBR. What the hell? I'm looking to see. So if this thing, if I was able to get for $12, get the M3 pedal, if it speaks CAN bus already, which it might, we're back to the TIS info. Barking assistant? I don't think that's the pedal system. I could look it up in the parts diagrams. I'm just wondering if this were to speak CAN bus already, it would be better if I just bought the $12 one than embarking on a whole new project. That means I need to find the that wiring diagram stuff. Ugh. I forget what that website was. It had all the diagrams. That's parking assistant. What is that about? That's a camera wiring, I see. Ooh, OEM, that's going to be nice and cheap. Nice and cheap. Oh, they don't even give you a price? 4 interest-free installments of $15 a month. Huh? Yes, I see that there are pins. Very, very fascinating. All right, where am I getting this information from? So Google Images is probably not a great way to be searching this. F10 steering wheel wiring diagram. Yeah, let's get out of images. Not AI. No. Stupid buttons. Okay. Open inverter, electronic throttle. That's right, the electric guys will know a lot about this stuff. Use a sewing machine pedal and be done. Why? $12. That's right, I remember looking at this. Okay, BMW electric throttle pedal, 2 independently working sensors. That's the old one. Accelerator pedal V1 with 2 sensors. Pedal V2. Two separate signal sensors. This is E60 though. We're not in the F series yet. Version 3. And there's barely any information. ETK info. Okay, there we go. Well, E81, E88. What do they have here? Yeah, so I don't know if they're analog or not. Security risk. What? etk.info, and then it's going to tell me that it's some kind of a risk. Advanced. Accept the risk. Oh my God, the certificate, it's bad. It's a bad certificate. We're going to die. Okay, this is not in English. Where's F? Where's the F series? Oh, I see. These are the individual models. 3 series. Go with 5 series. F10. Don't care about the model. 528i. Sure. Cool. Give me it. Okay, so this is not going to be wiring info, is it? This is the F series pedals are all dual analog ones with 6 pins. Well, if it's the analog ones, then I already have an analog one, and it's just the same. Yeah, if they're just the Hall sensors that output the analog, that's what I got here. I might as well just use this again. I was seeing if we could get directly to CAN bus with it. I don't know if the newer ones, but any newer than the F10, and I don't think we're going to be able to find them cheap. Because like again, like this is why I'm looking at it, because like here's a $12 throttle pedal from an F10. It's got the same 6-pin connector, so I am of a mind that this is probably going to be analog. I don't know what those words are. What are they? So in electric, because this is what the real OEM uses. Oh my God, it's full of wires. Yeah, so this is the German parts thing, huh? But there's not like engineering info on here. Okay, so F series would not. Does BMW do CAN bus on the pedals? Maybe they don't. I don't know what the latest series, G series. I don't know. What's like a modern BMW. So it would be too expensive from the modern ones. Okay, never mind. That's going to need the same thing that they all have. And I'm going to have to find like a generic program for sending CAN bus around. I'm going to need to find like and frame out how I'm going to be communicating all that stuff. Even my G80 uses a dual analog one, and it's a 2024. Huh. So that's probably to do with safety regulations on gas pedals, because all those old people were accidentally hitting the gas pedal because they're old. They thought it was the brake pedal, and they'd hit the gas, and the cars would lurch forward, and then the courts freak out about it, and all the automotive manufacturers go, oh no, we got to go check this out. And it turns out the old people don't know what pedal is what. But to prevent this, we have all kinds of crazy stuff around gas pedals now. Like this one has 2 sensors, they're redundant, and all kinds of other like crazy safety features on it in order to make sure that it operates exactly the way that it should. And so I guess they've proofed out all that technology and they don't want to reinvent the wheel. So they continue with the analog, quote unquote, gas pedals. It's actually very digital. We've taken this thing apart. It has a capacitive twisting sensor. And then this is literally just twisting a thing. It's just a twist of a thing. And it twists the thing, and then the capacitive sensor senses where it is and outputs a voltage, a corresponding voltage. Don't know if it's microcontroller or not. I'm not sure about that. The cool sensors, the really cool sensors in cars are the wheels motion sensors. It's not a Hall effect, it's like a magnetic sensor, so that, or like a field sensor or something, so that when a piece of metal passes on it, it'll, you know, knock its voltage level around to tell you that little notch is there. But the thing about the more modern ones, the more modern wheel speed sensors, when you first turn them on, they do a little tiny little digital communication to tell you that they're all right. So when you turn your systems on, they'll all say, hey, we're cool. And then it'll start working like the old ones. Old cars and Ski-Doos, you could add a nut to the throttle cable and allow it to open more, especially the ones that were limited. I remember I was at Bumper Boats one time and I was able to look behind me at the little throttle limiter and I was able to kind of scooch it out of the way a little bit more. So I had the fastest bumper boat. Probably used more fuel too. In my Topaz, the gas had slack. I had to turn a nut gland. The thing about the BMW throttle that I have currently, it's I think the last version of the BMW to have a cable throttle instead of an electronic servo controlling it. And as such, I don't understand how this is the apex of automotive design, because there is a cable with a ball soldered on the end, and the ball rests in a trough, and the trough just kind of ends like this, and the ball just kind of sits on the end of the trough like that, right? And so if I throttle up, it'll obviously pull and open the throttle more. But if my foot slips off of the pedal, the ball will come out and it'll just come out and that's it. And then I don't have a throttle cable and I have to limp to the next intersection. It's supposed to have just a little bit of pretension on it. And I guess that is what keeps it from unseating completely. But like if my foot slips off of the pedal, it's just floating. I don't know if wear over time means that it doesn't clip in as well as it should have, but it is just a floating ball. We did a ton of research on this like a couple months ago when I was having trouble with it. Since then, I have tweaked a little tweak that you tweak on the cable, and it puts a little pretension on the ball. But having the ball just fall out is so weird. Very weird. The opening hole should be cut not to come loose. It may be that it worn away, but there's nothing to clip it in place. There's literally nothing there. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. And this is my throttle cable. Luckily, the fail state of it is something that I can just limp. I can put it in first gear and kind of limp with the idle. All right, so I have more reverse engineering to do, and I don't really want to draw out the stream. I didn't have a really good plan today, so we've only been on for so long. I don't have a lot of viewers. I may go on tomorrow, just so we'll have more stuff to do. We'll be able to, yeah, it's just a little lead slug that's probably worn down. I would assume, but I put a new throttle cable on. Wait a sec, I replaced the throttle cable. So I've got a new throttle cable. It does not fit in very well. Maybe the plastic on the throttle's worn away. I don't know. If there's something that I could clip to it, I wish that existed. But again, maybe I can just move to an electronic throttle. I think that's a complete overhaul of the computer, though. I think that's a complete computer overhaul to move to the electronic one. I'd have to get like my own throttle computer, which they probably do sell. Not BMW, but secondhand places would have it. All right, let me get all these screws together. And let's desolder this chip, and then we'll call it quits for the day. Urethane bushing upgrades. No, that doesn't exist for this. E39, hold on, E39. E39 throttle upgrade. If anything like it exists, what the hell is that? What the heck is that? Tilton drive-by-wire throttle kit. All right. The hell? Whoa, you got a fancy pedal. It's aluminum. There we go. Let's go ITBs. I shall continue to search images to see if there's anything in existence. I've been lurking. I really like how much all this has come together. Thank you. Not having anything physical put together at the moment, I have the thing sitting behind me that's been kind of stationary for weeks. I need to pull that apart and actually put the little angle adapters in there that I designed and printed. There's a lot of little tasks that are sort of nebulously starting to close in, and hopefully I can actually put, my mouth where my money comes from, and just swish it around a little bit and produce results. I'm hoping. I love that you guys love it. Man, there's a lot of YouTubers today. That's currently really crazy. 10 people on YouTube. I could turn on the vertical format for shorts, and then we get people flipping through their phones. I don't know if we want those people here. E39 aftermarket throttle bushing. Bush, I don't know. M54 throttle cable conversion kit. This turns you into a throttle cable? See, I'm not like in with the times on all this stuff. So I don't know what people do. I know people hated drive-by-wire at first. They really hated it. And it's like, I can assure you that whatever you're doing to that pedal is translated perfectly to that servo. People hated them. Red bushing, scroll down. Oh, hold on. We'll go forward again. Red bushing. What? Red bushing. Oh, red urethane? I'm not looking for urethane. I'm just looking for the throttle not to drop the goddamn cable. Why does it drop the cable? Why would you do this to me? See, look, this is what a proper throttle has, like a bar. That can stay in there a little bit better. Mine's like just a little ball inside of this plastic trough. So I don't think there's anything, I don't know if there's anything I can do. Throttle fix. What are typical E39 throttle issues? Yes, I'm human. We don't want perfect communication. We want to lathe rubber. But that's what you get. It does the same thing. When you push it all the way down, it's going to open that thing really quick. I don't think people think that there's like a lag and a delay between the two, and they did at first too. And like, just car companies could have done a better job to communicate that, like, no, you suck at driving. Like this thing does it just fine. It opens that thing just as fast. This is not relevant, is it? Ugh. I'm just looking to see if there are upgrades to the throttle that'll prevent me from having it slip out. Falls off. Title says it. Touring M52 engine. Oh, that's my exact car. All of a sudden, the gas pedal went all the way down. Figured I had to replace the cable. After removing everything on my way to see the throttle body, I found to my surprise the cable seems to be okay. Checked it to see if it was stuck. Did so by pulling back and forth, grabbing a little metal ball on the end of the cable. Cable moved all the way. Now it's pretty high. Ah, okay, that scared me. Jeez. What's up, Cheesy Popcorn? God, you got both the light and the sound at the same time. You guys they're getting smarter. The chatters are getting smarter. Pretty obvious to me to reattach the black butterfly on the right side of the throttle body. So I grabbed the end of the cable. So this person's like whole throttle fell out. Is there, I mean, the Pelican procedure works, like shows you what to do, but throttle cable bushings. Let me just look that up. Oh, no, I've already replaced that. Yeah, that at the top of the gas pedal, there's like a little metal hook that goes into that bushing. And that bushing, of course, is the thing that wears away and why you have like an adjustable throttle distance thing. I replaced all that stuff. If it was the old aircraft servo controls that follow exactly like what your hand play, yeah, I know there is a man in the middle when you do have a throttle, you know, a servo throttle. There's a man in the middle. They do that so that they can have traction control and all systems like that, but also so that, you know, the computer is really what's in control of your engine and what it's doing. The accelerator is just so that you can communicate that you would like to accelerate. You say, hello, car, I would like very kindly if you would accelerate now. And the computer goes, well, let me see if I can manage that. And it talks to its systems, and then it starts to open the throttle. Whereas with the cable, you go, engine goes this speed now, and everything's like, ah, and everything has to like figure it out, right? That's all well and good, but I mean, for fuel economy and all kinds of other stuff, you have your user requests that the vehicle accelerate, and then the vehicle responds. But it does that in an instant. So I don't know, all the initial, you know, complaints about throttle cables are gone, because gone are the days of having pretty much anything analog on a car other than sensors, but those are communicating digitally anyway in the end. Like billet aluminum throttle cable bushings are not necessary. It's a plastic gas pedal, for fuck's sake. Like, is it worth it? Is the C-clip worth it? No, it's not. Putting another C-clip in the car is not worth it. No, it's just the connection, the E39 throttle cable diagram. Dog diagram. The internet's become kind of useless these days, huh? So, if I may, let's see here. Yeah, the other problem is that I wasn't able to find like a good diagram of it going into the throttle. If we just here, E39 throttle. So this one I think has a servo, but you can see over here, this little thing right here is where the throttle cable comes in. So up here you adjust, that may be an end stop actually, but the cable comes down and around this, and then down there is a little seat for a cup, ICUP. We get the right, we've literally every angle of this fucking thing but the one that I need. There we go, right there. That's where the cup sits. So the cup sits in that. It's like the little cup game, only it's your car control. There's nothing else to that. There's no clip on it. I would think there would be something that goes across right here. Just like a little piece of metal that you could snap on. But no, there's nothing. It literally just, the ball just sits here. Maybe I need to like bend something that I can clip to that. There should be a little override so that instead to perfectly accelerate, then we can throw a rooster tail of dirt to someone behind. Well, in that case, then the add-on servo is going to interfere with your throttle. Slug slides in and rotates, shouldn't be able to fall out, not on my Neon. Your Neon is not my BMW. I don't know if this has occurred to you, but there may be a couple of designs at play here, and my primary purpose is to complain about the design of mine. And my design has a ball-in-cup style throttle accelerator cable that is not held in by anything but thoughts, prayers, and springs. Not even good springs. It's this spring holds it in, and the spring on your gas pedal. So if the spring on your gas pedal is a little bit more springily than your throttle, then it can just fucking fall out. It's so stupid. It's the worst design I've ever seen. I feel like there should be some kind of a metal clip that goes on top of this, but there's nothing in the parts diagrams to indicate that any of that ever existed. Baling wire. Yeah, I could see myself maybe using baling wire to get around that. I could just throw a little piece of, well, it doesn't look like there's really much to go around on the other side of it, so. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know what to do about it other than nothing. I mean, if it's properly adjusted, it doesn't fall out. Apparently. I'm still scared to accidentally slip off of the accelerator and have it pop up and have it just pop out and then me not have accelerating. Because that's what happened to me. I was in the middle of a very busy intersection with no shoulders. So I had to limp. I put my blinkers of shame on, put the car in first, and then just kind of idle until I could make a nearby turn and get into the suburban areas where I could actually sit there and fiddle with my throttle cable. But it happened to me. It happened to me in my old car. If it was drive-by-wire, it wouldn't have happened. There should be an armed... Yeah, that's what, you know, exactly what I was thinking would be if this thing... what I'm thinking is one of those, like, just metal clips with just like a little thing on both sides that would... You just push it down on there vertically and it would just snap on. Because that's what it looks like. But if we go to the OEM parts thing, this is going to take me a minute. Hold on, give me one sec. Classic. I can't believe it's on the classic list. 5 Series 39 Touring 528 USA. Get out of here. Whatever. Late 2000 or no, mine is actually 1999 technically. Manual. Browse the parts. Dear God. Okay. We go to not vehicle electric. This would be her radiator, exhaust. What the hell? Pedals. No, it's actually the throttle. We don't care about the pedal, but my pedal looks like this one, where you've got this big like balance bar and this thing going over to the pedal and it's just coming straight off the floor. And then you've got your little hook here with the little bushing right there, and that pulls on your ball. And so the ball is in a different system. The ball would probably be engine. Maybe not engine. This is all the engine mechanicals. Oh my God. Pelican or whatever this real OEM, I guess, has decided to pay some bills by putting pop-up ads on it. Shame. We are looking at brakes, pedals, wheels, bodywork, trim, seats, restraint systems. That's not what is the throttle? What is it? Name a throttle. What? Oh my God. That is very annoying. I would request to block that. It would have to be... It's not fuel prep, although that is fairly relevant. Wait, what was that thing? Mass airflow. Oh, we're getting close. Oh, throttle housing. There we go. This is just the throttle housing assembly. It doesn't even explain anything beyond that. It just shows you this. So there's no like, there's no clip in there. There's got to be a different diagram then. But I guess fuel prep is where you would find something like the throttle body. That ain't it. What else? Not supply. I mean, engine would be the only other place that I would think to find it. Because if it is a part that you can order, then it would be in these diagrams. What we're looking for is like a little clip that goes on the throttle body and maybe holds that in there a little bit, maybe. No, the cable's not bent. It's a brand new cable. I put in a brand new cable, and if you adjust it properly, it should never fall out. I'm still worried about if my foot slips off of the pedal like it did in that intersection. This was before I adjusted it properly. Maybe they've mitigated that within the engineering. It just seems very strange to me that the throttle cable just loosely sits on its perch. Yeah, I can Google real images, but what I'm looking for is evidence of the existence of a clip like that, and nobody is taking photos of their car from this angle because the engine is in our face right now. So you can't see back here, right back here, and this is what I'm trying to look for. There was a Pelican how-to, and there was a forum how-to that was posted, and neither of them say anything about there being a clip here. I'm just wondering, this is flattened in 2 spots, which speaks to me of there being something that goes across this area. It's neat to see this stuff. Learned a thing today. You learned something about a car from the early 2000s. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if it's good knowledge or not. Hopefully me getting angry at my viewers and mouthing off about problems that only I have these days is entertaining. I hope it's entertaining, and I appreciate you being here. What the hell is this one from? Secondary throttle body actuator. What? It's a whole cable. That's weird. Never seen that. Okay, anyway, that's, I don't know, it's not something that I need to solve. If the system's put together properly, I guess it's fine. These are complaints about obsolete technology that is purposefully deployed in such a way as for it not to be a problem, that I have complaints about that probably aren't founded. So, I'm just shooting the breeze here. 3-inch slice of metal, top right in the image. Huh? Well, it's gone and passed. Now I'm just looking at this. No, see, like, I'm just looking at this. That little flat spot. I must have missed something, but I doze off. My headache is gone. Oh, at least you don't have a headache. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it looks to me like something can clip right there. But I've never seen any evidence of this existing at all. I've only ever dealt with my one car, but this is, see, the ball just sits there. It just sits in this little cup. And so if I blip by accident, my pedal shouldn't be able to travel faster than this spring can return. But if it does, I've dropped my throttle cable, so. And maybe it's not a problem people are having. What does it pick from the side? No, it doesn't show the side. Yeah, so it just drops down into there. Weird. It's just very weird. Okay, I'm going to close this because this is just me complaining into the ether. It's not anything crazy. For the simulator stuff, we got a little bit more reverse engineering that we have to do. I have to kind of figure out what these systems are doing. We have to do a little bit of soldering. We can get to that tomorrow. I've been streaming for about 3 hours. It's short. It's hard for me to, I can't really do a 5-hour stream because I got to walk my dog. We're losing daylight. I guess daylight savings is going to hit soon. So for the Europeans among you, I'm going to start sooner, I think, for you guys. We lose an hour for whatever that means, which means I'll have a little bit more daylight at the end of the day so I can stream a little bit longer. Obviously, daylight savings should not affect us, but my puppy likes to be indoors at night, and I like to not get hit by cars when I'm out there that are speeding by with old people driving them at night. It's nice to be visible. So anyway, I'm gonna go do my stuff. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been just a miscellaneous stream. It's total scatterbrain, whatever we want to work on. I will focus in. We'll work on something specific tomorrow. If I stream, and I think I will, we're going to be working on programming the STM32, and that means that I can almost instantly roll out a program for this MIDI pad. So that'll be really cool, and we can hook it up to the rest of our CAN bus system and start communicating with the CAN bus. I'll have to figure out like serial printing without the USB connection. I'll have to serial print to the programmer so that I can see what some of those variables are coming in as. Because the easiest way for me to tune all the different voltage levels that we have on this thing for like the potentiometers and stuff is just to write down what values we're getting in other serial printouts. We just take it into a variable and then print it on serial, and I can just say, oh, it's 0, or like it's 25 to 67 on this one, and we can just kind of cater it to that. So that's the easiest way to work with it. It's very hands-on. It's a lot more fun. Scope creep. Yeah, scope creep edition. I started complaining about my real car. Honestly, my real car needs, hey guys. Oops, hold on. Okay, there. Hey, Chinese company that makes laser welders. I sure could use new side skirts on my car that derust, and then they get welded on there, and I could use the laser. Hey, emails down below. But that's what really needs to happen to my car, because it's rotting away from the inside. The sides are rotting off. BMW decided, hey, it would be cool if we had a sunroof that has this big trough. Like, you may want to drain water from that. Oh, cool. Let's just put a tube and we'll put it down inside of the body still, but on the inside of the side skirts. And then water gets in there and dirt comes down from the tubes and gets in there, and a very fine, particular kind of powdery dirt bunches up at the back where it's supposed to drain. And then it holds onto that water. And because we're in the Northeast, there's salt everywhere. It's just all salt. And so it just rots away your jack pads. Ask me how I know. This is the second car I've had that suffered from that. The fix for it is to grind off the, however you may see fit, get rid of the side skirts and weld new ones on there, and then put a lot of wax and stuff in there. Yeah, cars do not last long here in PA. Yep. We see the most cycles of freezing and thawing of any other state. That's why our roads are terrible, aside from private ownership. That's why our roads are absolutely terrible. That's why all our cars rust away. I should find a good place that does undercoating, because they could certainly make a lot of money off of me, and I cannot be a doofus once more and buy a car, and the first thing I do is drop it off at an underbody coating place before I even take it for that first drive. I should be dropping it off there. What's up, Copper? I'm winding down. I'm starting to complain about real world stuff. What are you guys? World's best tech streamer, man. Are they behind me? Where are they? Who's that? I'm complaining about random stuff. First world problems. What, that my car is literally fucking rotting away in the driveway? That's not a first world problem, my friend. They have that problem everywhere. Everyone has that problem. Except like Arizona. They don't have that problem. Some people walk. I've seen cars in third world countries. I've seen them. We're starting soon. Ending soon. World's greatest BMW after the undercoat place? I don't know. I don't know, man. I gotta figure something out, but okay. Thank you guys for joining me. I don't have the things set up right now. Here's the completely out of date end card. It's gonna have some wacky number on it that's wrong. Everything's falling apart. This is falling apart. I don't have Blue Sky. It got hacked. Discord still works for now. That'll break later probably. We still hang out in Discord. There's like 10 or 11 of us that keep that place alive. So if you want to chew the fat in between streams, you can check out my Discord. Or not. Maybe you don't need more Discord in your life. Time to start Porsche conversion. Yeah, right. That'd be really awesome to do. I would love that project. We're essentially doing that project now. If you guys didn't notice, Bother's brain had been stuck in electrically convert a Porsche 944 into a real boy, into an electric car, by making a bunch of modern car parts speak to one another with CAN bus. Dun dun dun. This is that project, sort of. Only it's taken up a slightly different light. But I mean, it's very interesting and very close to it. Everyone needs more corgi pics in their life. Yeah, exactly. All the corgi pictures are in Discord. Discord will break in October. I don't think so. They've distanced themselves from Palantir, so it's possible that they don't go forward with the age verification. Not to mention, we don't have any NSFW channels on my thing. My thing is like, it should be more public in the Discord. If I was more popular, if I played my cards a little bit better in the initial stages, we'd have more people and possibly the Discord would be more public and discoverable. I don't think we're going to get there. I would like to grow the channel somehow. I've tried a couple things, but nothing really works. And I see the same behaviors in some other creators lately as they're trying to kind of grow things. I think growth is difficult to achieve right now. Everybody's just getting back into the swing of their lives after the holidays, and so everybody's doing real life stuff. We'll see where we'll see where things go. Do a little bit of gaming, do a little bit of. We've got a lot of building to do. We've got a lot of stuff to put together. So anyway, I will catch you guys tomorrow if I'm on. There's a high chance that I will be. No promises, but if we do go on, it'll be more microcontrol stuff, and we can actually start to use this MIDI pad that was broken when I found it. It's a very straightforward design, really cool. I will catch you guys then. Until then, remember to. I really have nothing. I don't know where I wanted to go with the joke on that. So I just kind of like was looking for the technical issue, which I need to do on the Stream Deck now because the button is right there. I mean, it's right here. This is the button that